Chapter 437. Instantly, the idea of creating a diversion had shocked all the people of the 100-Leaf Chain clan. Indeed, his words had awakened the people in their dreams. Patriarch Chin Bolong pondered for a long time before nodding his head, as if he had made up his mind on an extremely difficult decision. He said, "Everyone, please wait here for a moment. Zhonglong, come with me to the back mountain." When those 6 elders of the 100-Leaf Chain clan heard the words back mountain, all of them revealed a fascinated expression. They even showed some excitement. Chin Zhonglong understood and stood up. He followed behind Chin Bolong and walked out. In a moment, they had left the castle and arrived at the mountain path. Chin Zhonglong asked, "Big brother, are you sure you want to disturb 9th great uncle?" "Zhonglong, I'm sure you're well aware of the current situation. With our current strength, even if we can fight with these flying eagles and dogs until both sides suffer, the 100-Leaf Chain clan will not be able to recover from this setback. All of our foundation will be ruined." Among Chin Bolong's heavy tone, there was a form of decisiveness and determination. Apparently, he had made up his mind and decided to use the trump card of the 100-Leaf Chain clan. Only by revealing this trump card would they be able to avoid this calamity. Chin Zhonglong was the number 2 figure in the 100-Leaf Chain clan. His position was second only to Patriarch Chin Bolong. At the same time, he was the most intelligent person in the 100-Leaf Chain clan. Naturally, he had a clear grasp of the situation. Hearing his big brother's words, he also agreed, "Big brother, 9th great uncle has been in solitary training for a few dozen years. The outside world does not know the existence of 9th great uncle. 9th great uncle is not only our trump card, but also our trump card. If we can use this trump card well, it will not be a problem to defend the 100-Leaf Chain clan. Most importantly, for this battle, how to reduce the losses of the Chain clan is the right way. Therefore, I will definitely support Big Brother's decision." "Yes, Zhonglong, I just don't know the result of 9th great uncle's solitary training." Although Chin Bolong had made up his mind, inwardly, he was still worried about personal gains and losses. After all, that 9th great uncle had been in solitary training for a few dozen years, and there had been no news. No one could guarantee the result of this solitary training. In between their conversation, the 2 brothers had already arrived near the precipice of the back mountain. The cliffs of the back mountain were very steep. The castle of the 100-Leaf Chain clan was built with the back of this cliff. Because of this reason, it appeared to be easy to defend and difficult to attack. Since the 100-Leaf Chain clan had benefited from this, they had always remained impregnable and had never suffered any serious impact. Standing in front of the cave, he looked at the stone wall outside the cave. The door was tightly shut. Chin Bolong briefly probed with his spiritual power. As soon as his spiritual power rushed out, he immediately felt a strong rebounding force. This flick caused Chin Bolong's entire dantian to tremble. However, Chin Bolong was not alarmed. Instead, he was delighted. He said to Chin Zhonglong with a heart full of joy, "Zhonglong, the rebounding force of this spiritual power prohibition spell is very strong. I sent out a strand of spirit energy, but it bounced back before it reached the entrance of the cave. The rebounding force was very fierce. It seemed that 9th great uncle's restriction was very impressive. As long as the restriction is there, 9th great uncle must still be in the cave." Chin Zhonglong was also very happy and was about to say something. A clear and cold voice came from inside the cave. "Are you Bolong and Zhonglong, the 2 brothers?" Chin Bolong immediately answered with sincerity, "Yes, we are Bolong and Zhonglong." That cold voice stopped for a moment and congealed into a sound beam. Then it slowly formed into a line and shot over. "Initially, when I was in solitary training, I had said that unless the family was in a life-and-death situation, no one was to disturb me. Now, a few dozen years have passed. Could it be that the family has reached a critical moment? With the power of you 2 brothers, you cannot hold on?" Chin Bolong said seriously, "9th great uncle, the situation at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain is unclear. However, there is a bounty from the Heavenly Emperor Mountain that offered 1,000,000 gold crystal stones to gather ordinary freelance martial artists to attack the the 100-Leaf Qin clan. These freelance martial artists all have their own methods when it comes to one-on-one combat. However, if it's just a group of freelance martial artists, us two brothers are not afraid. However, most likely, the one who took this mission is a famous elite warrior at the profound Void Martial stage in the Yellow Wind territory. Elite warrior at the profound Void Martial stage? Apparently, that ninth great uncle was somewhat astonished. Although the 100-Leaf Qin clan is not the #1 powerhouse in the Yellow Wind territory, we are not a family that people can bully. In the Yellow Wind territory, someone dared to gather freelance martial artists to deal with the 100-Leaf Qin clan? Who is that person? Ninth great uncle. That person's surname is Chun, and his name is Chun Senator. He is from the Scouring Cloud village in the Scouring Cloud state. Chun's son. That ninth great uncle laughed coldly. From the Scouring Cloud village? No wonder. If he is from the Scouring Cloud village, I would not be surprised. However, aren't all the leaders of this Scouring Cloud village surnamed Han? What kind of person is this Chun's son? Ninth great uncle, you have been in solitary training for a few dozen years and did not communicate with the outside world. However, many changes have happened in our Yellow Wind territory. Qin Bolong said with a bitter smile, 20 years ago, that Scouring Cloud village was destroyed by a sudden wave of power. After a few years, this Chun's son emerged and declared himself as the leader of the Scouring Cloud village. With the identity of an elite warrior at the profound Void Martial stage, he ruled the entire Scouring Cloud state and did not have any opponents. Even across the entire Yellow Wind territory, few could be his opponents. Qin Bolong spoke about the changes in the outside world in detail. That ninth great uncle said in a low voice, "This way, it's not strange for this Chun's son to gather these freelance martial artists and plot against the 100-Leaf Qin clan. The Scouring Cloud State and the 100-Leaf State are only separated by a mountain. The Scouring Cloud Village is less than 1,000 miles away from the 100-Leaf Qin clan. This Chun guy has quite a big appetite." Qin Bolong gave a long sigh. Ninth great uncle, although this Chun guy did not reveal his identity and organized this mission with the identity of Commander Chun. According to the information collected by the 100-Leaf Qin clan, the Commander Chun in charge of this mission should be that Chun's son. Ninth great uncle smiled coldly. Bolong, regardless of whether it's him or not, what did the Qin ancestral teachings say? Do you two brothers still remember? The expression of Qin Bolong and Qin Zhonglong changed at the same time as they said in a clear voice, "Yes. Those who plot against the Qin property, we will fight back with 5 times the power. Those who plot against the position of the Qin clan, we will fight back with 10 times the power. Those who want to destroy the Qin clan, we will fight back with all our power. We will not hesitate to destroy both jade and common stone." The powerful and impassioned speech, this ancestral teaching, was so familiar, so vivid. If Qin Wushuang was here, for sure, he would recognize that these ancestral teachings were exactly the same as the ancestral teachings of the Eastwood Qin clan. In fact, not a single word had been changed, and these ancestral teachings had been passed down from the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. Regardless of where the disciples of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan went, or where they established their branch, these 3 ancestral teachings were ironclad rules that would never change since ancient times. These ancestral teachings were the soul of the Qin clan. Qin Bolong and Qin Zhonglong clenched their fists tightly. The hot-blooded passion from these ancestral teachings had caused the blood of these 2 brothers to boil at the same time. The ancestral teachings of the Qin clan carried a form of courage without hesitation. It was this courage that allowed the gigantic Qin clan to stand tall in the Tianxian land for a few thousand years without falling. The voice of that ninth great uncle had also become much more impassioned as he said seriously, "Okay, not a single word is missing. Then you should know what to do, right? Yes, you should also know my attitude, right?" Although the voice of that ninth great uncle was calm, it carried a wave of coldness that made people tremble with fear. "Don't forget, my surname is also Qin." Inwardly, Qin Bolong was overjoyed. "Ninth great uncle, do you plan to make a move yourself?" That ninth great uncle said coldly, Since an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage has appeared, you two brothers will not be able to deal with it. If I still stay in solitary training, the 100-Leaf Qin clan will be in danger. Both Qin Bolong and Qin Zhonglong were overjoyed. Qin Bolong immediately asked, I just don't know, how did ninth great-uncle gain from this solitary training? That ninth great-uncle laughed mischievously. There was a trace of desolation in his tone, yet there was also some pride. One only heard his cold and arrogant voice, saying slowly, This time, I have been in solitary training for 30 or 50 years. If I did not gain anything, then it would not be solitary training, but clothes in my coffin. Although I did not achieve a breakthrough in my personal strength, perhaps in my entire life, I will not be able to break through this barrier. However, in terms of nurturing and taming spiritual beasts, I have gained a lot. My old friend, although he has not entered the profound void martial stage, I am afraid that even if you two joined hands, you would not be his opponent. And his three sons would most likely not have any opponents at the refined void martial stage. Qin Bolong and his brother were overjoyed when they heard these words. Of course, they knew that ninth great-uncle had always had a contract spiritual beast that was extremely intelligent. It had a life and death contract with ninth great-uncle. That spiritual beast was already at the refined void martial stage 200 years ago. Now, it was not strange that it had entered the transformation void martial stage. In the future, even if it had entered the profound void martial stage and was on par with ninth great-uncle, they would not feel surprised. Bolong, tell us about the situation. Ninth great-uncle was not panicked. After all, the older the ginger, the spicier it was. After Qin Bolong had finished talking about the situation, that ninth great-uncle had understood as he said slowly, For this matter, you guys have guessed correctly. Perhaps it is a strategy to create a diversion. Of course, for such a matter of mutual deception, we must not place our bets on one side and ignore the other. Yes, Bolong has come to ask for ninth great-uncle's advice. I want to ask you to step out and see what this powerhouse of the Duckbeak Mountain is up to. If it is only a bait, we can beat them at their own game and take them out. It would also be a huge blow to the enemy. Ninth great-uncle said, For this matter, there is no need for me to take care of it. Bolong, Zhonglong, hurry and distribute your forces to strengthen the defense of each major stronghold. I will come out immediately and deal with that, Chinsa myself. And for the Duckbeak Mountain, don't worry, I will send my old friend. Overjoyed, Qin Bolong and his brother immediately bid farewell. At the same time, at the camp of the Duckbeak Mountain, Qin Wushuang had gathered with two of his friends. Bao Bao and Lone were talking to each other as they discussed something. Only Qin Wushuang remained silent. Now, vividly, he had understood something. Considering the overall situation, most likely their team camping at the Duckbeak Mountain was just a cover to attract the attention of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. If the 100-Leaf Qin clan were to send troops to attack, they would fall into the trap. And if the 100-Leaf Qin clan were to place all their attention on this Duckbeak Mountain, most likely they would fall into the trap. P.S. Sorry, I just got home from a long trip to pay a New Year's visit. I'm writing a chapter urgently. Today, I will only write this chapter, tomorrow's third watch. I will never break my promise. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 438. Boss, what's wrong? Seeing Qin Wushuang remaining silent, Bao Bao could not help but ask. Qin Wushuang regained his senses and said with a smile, You two have discussed for a long time. What's the conclusion? Bao Bao rushed to say, It's simple. I feel that although our team appear to have run to the front line, in fact, it's most likely a pretense to attract the attention of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. It would make them feel that they could take advantage of the situation and launch an attack. Then, we would set up an ambush on both sides and lure them out. It would be better than letting them hide in the castle. Qin Wushuang turned to look at the purple flame electric beast. Second, what do you think? Lone laughed. I'm too lazy to think about it. However, Third's words make sense. Boss, It seems that you don't agree with it. Bao Bao was somewhat curious. Yes, the matter is definitely not as simple as it appears on the surface. I feel that there's a deeper problem in this matter. A deeper problem? Bao Bao rolled his eyes and revealed a trace of confusion. At the same time, he seemed to be asking questions. Qin Wushuang said, "If it was only to lure the 100-Leaf Qin clan out to attack, this move is too shallow." The 100-Leaf Qin clan had established their foothold in the Xian Yuan Mount. If they could not see through this little trick, then they would not have stood for thousands of years. Since the 100-Leaf Qin clan could see through it, why did they insist on doing it? It only proves that this move is not as simple as you think. Qin Wushuang thought about it and had a much deeper understanding of this matter than Bao Bao. "Boss, it's not simple. In what way is it not simple? Don't keep us in suspense." A trace of a strange smile emerged from the corner of Qin Wushuang's mouth. "This is not simple. It's not simple at all. The other general managers already know the whereabouts of Commander Chun. I guess that for sure they are not lying in ambush on our left and right. On the contrary, most likely, they are rushing to each major fortress of the Qin castle and could launch an attack at any time. We are only here as a diversion tactic to confuse the eyes and ears of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. To put it bluntly, it was a diversion. This place is sneaky, but in fact, there's nothing to be done about it. The real place to make a fuss is somewhere else." Bao Bao drew a breath of cold air and mumbled, "This is a vicious plan. If that's the case, wouldn't the 100-Leaf Qin clan have fallen into their trap by putting all their attention here?" With a stern expression, Qin Wushuang said in a low voice, "I believe that inside the 100-Leaf Qin clan, it's impossible that there is not a single knowledgeable person. As long as one was willing to use their brains, it was not difficult to analyze this possibility. Even if things didn't develop this way, they still had to be prepared to deal with such a situation. Or else, if they were to let down their guard and lose focus, the 100-Leaf Qin clan would fall into a passive state when the fortress was attacked at the same time. It might even be breached in one fell swoop. This was definitely not an exaggeration, but something that was very likely to happen. However, Qin Wushuang firmly believed that the entire 100-Leaf Qin clan was slow to realize the truth. While he was thinking, 3 sharp whistles suddenly came from outside the tent. "Enemy attack." Instantly, Bao Bao jumped up. Qin Wushuang's expression changed. Could it be that the 100-Leaf Qin clan has truly come to raid the camp? "Let's go out and take a look." Lone also stood up and was about to rush out. However, Qin Wushuang pulled him back. Qin Wushuang slowly shook his head. "Don't be in a rush. Third, use the underground technique to scout and see how many powerhouses the 100-Leaf Qin clan has and what kind of people they are." Naturally, Bao Bao was the best at this aspect. Receiving the order, Bao Bao twisted his body and drilled out from the ground. Another 3 short whistles emerged, and people from each tent poked their heads out. Those who were able to participate in this mission were all elite warriors. Under such circumstances, although they were panicking, they did not lose their composure. Qin Wushuang and Lone looked at each other and also walked out from the tent. General Manager Su led his 4 trusted subordinates and spread out in a fan-shaped formation to protect the front. As for the other forces, they each set up camp and occupied their own corners. They were not in a hurry to make their next move. Obviously, before General Manager Su gave the order, they would not act on their own. General Manager Su glanced at Qin Wushuang and Lone. Just when he was about to speak, Bao Bao drilled out from the ground and dropped before Qin Wushuang and Lone. This underground technique was not some extraordinary technique. When General Manager Su saw them, he only glared at them and did not speak a word. He only shouted through his spiritual sense, "Everyone be careful. Someone is raiding the camp." Everyone was on full alert. Don't lose your life here before you have even entered the Qin castle. While General Manager Su sent his spiritual sense, he also observed all movements in the surroundings. "Boss, it seems that there are not many enemies." Bao Bao sent his spiritual sense to Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang was overjoyed inwardly when he heard his words. The fewer people that came from the 100-Leaf Chin clan, the happier he would be. At least, it meant that the 100-Leaf Chin clan had not fallen into the trap. Be careful. Remember, self-preservation is the most important thing. Qin Wushuang instructed. All three of them nodded tacitly and formed a defensive formation. This formation was the best for self-preservation. Haha, 1, 2, 3. A total of 20. In the sky, a strange voice emerged out of nowhere. When this voice came out of nowhere, it made one's hair stand on end. 20. Children, eat to your heart's content. This is a feast delivered to your door. That voice was cold and did not carry a trace of human emotion. Roar. Great Father, let's take care of it. Haha, this feast is truly delicious. Great Father, I will take the lead. Don't be hasty. That voice from earlier said indifferently, let me take care of that middle-aged man in luxurious clothing. You guys take care of the rest. Of course, the middle-aged man mentioned by this voice was General Manager Su. General Manager Su gave a cold sneer and made a hand gesture to motion everyone to pay attention. Suddenly, 4 bursts of lights shot out from the ground. Among these lights, one of them was extremely powerful. Although the other 3 were relatively weaker, they also possessed a threatening aura. When these 4 bursts of lights congealed together, instantly, it had intimidated the entire sky and caused it to become dim. Inwardly, General Manager Su was also shocked as he shouted, elite warriors at the refined Void Martial stage are in charge of dealing with those 3 little ones. Those at the perfect stage coordinate with the outside. Advanced stage warriors retreat to the outermost area. As soon as General Manager Su gave the order, the 2 trusted aides next to him, who were elite warriors at the refined Void Martial stage, joined forces with the Red Pine Honored Warrior and the other 2 freelance martial artists. Instantly, they formed a circle. General Manager Su waved his hand, and a blue and white long sword appeared in his hand. He locked onto those 4 bursts of lights from afar. When those 4 bursts of lights withdrew, 4 people dressed strangely and filled with wildness stood there. One of them had a gigantic body and had a spiral hairstyle on top of his head. He had wrapped it with a few rattan branches and appeared extremely wild. However, when he looked around, he appeared awe-inspiring. Next to this person stood 3 people. All of them appeared much younger than that person with the spiral hairstyle. Children, make your move. That person with the spiral hairstyle laughed. He swung his hand and grabbed a giant Xianhua axe out of the sky. With a casual swing of the axe, it was like the cutting edge of death. Rays of light shot out from the edge of the axe. Eat my 3 axe strikes. The speed of this giant guy that looked like an iron tower was unimaginably fast. With a slight sway of his body, he had arrived before General Manager Su instantly, like a shooting star. General Manager Su was shocked. He pulled the long sword in his hand and rolled it up. Immediately, 3 sword shields were formed. One after another, they went up to meet the attack. Clang, clang, clang. With a crisp cracking sound, the blade light at the tip of the axe sliced the air current shield and instantly exploded. It was like a bomb exploding in the air. The impact from this explosion formed a gigantic shockwave that spread out in all directions. It made the people in the surrounding feel as if they were in a frenzied wave as their bodies swayed like lotus leaves in the violent wind. Ha ha ha. Good kid, you could take my 3 axe strikes. Then let's have a taste of something even more powerful. That giant guy gave a mad roar, and the giant axe in his hand was like an embroidery needle. When he waved it in his hand, it was full of ingenuity. 1 axe strike after another at an unparalleled speed. Even if that General Manager Su was using a sword, he could only barely keep up with that giant guy in terms of speed. Apparently, the 3 people behind that giant guy were his sons. All of them cried out, "Father, leave the rest to us." As they spoke, these 3 people lifted their bodies and turned into rays of light in the sky. Then, they pounced towards the direction of Chi Song and the others. These 3 brothers also used heavy weapons. If it was not an axe, it would be a wolf-tooth club or a golden melon hammer. As soon as this imposing manner pressed down, Although Chi Song and the others had the advantage, they did not dare to neglect or underestimate the enemy. The five of them quickly reduced their defensive area and kept moving closer to each other to form a small circle. Together, they formed a defensive circle to catch those three waves of impact. Qin Wushuang and the other perfect stage spiritual martial force were cruising on the outside. Besides Qin Wushuang, everyone else realized that most likely this battle was related to their lives. If they were not careful, most likely they would fall here. Thus, each of them revealed a solemn expression and did not dare to let down their guard. Although Bao Bao and Lone were at the refined void martial stage, they had always concealed their strength and never exposed their true form as beasts. When they signed up, they only signed up as advanced stage warriors. Thus, at this moment, they were standing on the safest outside. Everyone, listen well. This is a battle between elite warriors at the void martial stage. Initially, us at the spiritual martial force could not participate. However, this is a matter of great importance. Everyone, listen to my orders and attack at any time. Remember, to attack, you must gather your power and attack one of them together. For those three, as long as one of them is killed, the formation of the other two will be completely disrupted. Then, we will break them one by one. Yes, all the perfect stage warriors answered in unison. Although Qin Wushuang spoke half-heartedly, inwardly, he held the thought of not putting in any effort. He was prepared to feign civility and act according to the situation. This is the first update. I recommend this book. Title: The Reborn Life of a Petty Bourgeois Author. Wu Yao 998, book number 1724352. Advertising slogan: Reborn Struggle Novel. Milky Way readers, Wu Yao's masterpiece. Welcome everyone from the Milky Way to support. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 439. Although the 100-Leaf Qin clan only had 4 fresh soldiers, these 4 were all abnormally fierce people, and their way of fighting was extremely valiant, as if they did not fear death. The most terrifying part was that their attacks and defense had a form of valiance that had surpassed their own stage. At this moment, General Manager Su had the most intense experience. When facing the attack from that giant guy, with his strength at the transformation of Void Martial stage, he could not find any opportunity to counterattack. Instead, he could only hold on with all his strength. Inwardly, General Manager Su was also complaining incessantly. In fact, their team had received orders to set up camp here to attract attention. From the estimation of Commander Chun and the 4 general managers, the 100-Leaf Qin clan should not have come to attack. Unexpectedly, as soon as they had started a plan, they were caught off guard by the 100-Leaf Qin clan's attack. In fact, they had entered deep into the enemy territory alone. They were here to attract attention and cover for the other powerhouses to attack the 100-Leaf Qin clan. At this critical juncture, it was impossible for the other powerhouses to come to their aid. Of course, General Manager Su was struggling. On the side of the Red Pine Honored Warrior, the 5 elite warriors at the refined Void Martial stage could only defend themselves when attacked by 3 of the enemy's elite warriors. They could not find any opportunity to counterattack. Despite this fact, they were still panting heavily from the attacks of those 3 brothers and were exhausted. Red Pine Honored Warrior was extremely anxious as he cried out, "General Manager Su, where are the other powerhouses? We are being attacked from the front, and they're not making any movements from the 2 wings?" Inwardly, General Manager Su was furious. Inwardly, he cursed that these freelance martial artists would always be freelance martial artists, as they had no discipline. It would have been better if he had not asked this question. Once he had asked, it would have exposed his plan. Now, he only hoped that Commander Chun would launch an attack quickly. He would launch a sneak attack and catch the 100-Leaf Qin clan off guard. Or else, even if they had 20 people, they would suffer a great loss under the attack of these 4 elite warriors. Only when the attack on the 100-Leaf Qin clan had started, these 4 would have to retreat quickly to help them out. Qin Wushuang had already understood the situation as he observed from the side. He also shouted, "General Manager Su, the enemy is ferocious. Let's retreat quickly." Qin Wushuang's shout naturally had an ulterior motive. It was to bewitch the soldiers' morale. After shouting, he continued, "Since there are no reinforcements on either side, it is taboo for us to be stationed here alone. Manager Su, if we don't retreat now, none of the 20 of us will be able to leave." Chief Steward Su's lungs were about to explode. If he could split his hands and feet at this moment, the first thing he would do would be to eliminate this Wu clan's eldest son. Saying such words at this time, isn't it disrupting the morale of the army? In the worst case, it might even affect the general situation of attacking the 100 Leaf Qin clan's castle. The other 2 trusted aides of General Manager Su were among the perfect stage. They glared at Qin Wushuang and shouted, "You with the surname Wu, can you stop yelling?" If he was afraid of death, he shouldn't have signed up. Once he signed up, he had to obey orders. Commander Chun had set 4 rules. The first one was that no one was allowed to run away or slack off, or else you will be killed without mercy. Qin Wushuang deliberately sneered. "Am I running away? I am only giving a suggestion. I don't want to lose everyone's lives because of the idiocy of the decision maker. Isn't that right?" Qin Wushuang's words had resonated with many people. Those freelance martial artists at the perfect stage all looked at him with doubt. Obviously, they had also realized something and smacked their lips to create a different flavor. Most likely, they had set up camp at this conspicuous Duckbeak Mountain to act as bait and cover. There are no reinforcements left or right. Could this still be called a group operation? It was clear that they were marching in alone. To put it bluntly, they were sending themselves to death. That giant guy with the iron tower of the 100 Leaf Qin clan waved his giant axe and swept away General Manager Su. He laughed. "You motley crew dare to target the 100 Leaf Qin clan? Are you already fighting among yourselves before the battle has even started?" This giant guy knew how to attack people's minds. While he did not slow down with the giant axe in his hand, he shouted, "Listen well, it's not too late to back off now. When I take care of this Su guy, don't even think about leaving." He was trying to break the morale of the army. Combined with his crazy giant axe attack, his words had appeared even more persuasive. While that general manager, Su, dealt with him, he asked, "You are not someone from the 100 Leaf Qin clan?" That giant guy laughed proudly. "I am not from the 100 Leaf Qin clan? Could you be? You don't even know the background of the 100 Leaf Qin clan, and you want to deal with them?" Although this giant guy also had the strength of the transformation Void Marshal stage, the power of his attacks had reached a level that General Manager Su could not reach. In fact, General Manager Su was more anxious than anyone else. He knew that if he continued to hold on, sooner or later he would be defeated by this giant guy. At this moment, 300 or 400 miles away from the castle of the 100 Leaf Qin clan, a burst of powerful air bombardment came from afar. Although he was a few hundred miles away, he could still feel the power of this vibration clearly. Next, the rumbling sound of the air explosion continued to ring next to his ears. "Those who are after my Qin property, I will fight back with 5 times the power. Those who are after my Qin status, I will fight back with 10 times the power. Those who want to destroy my Qin clan, I will fight back with all my power. I will not hesitate to burn both jade and common stone." In the sky, a cold voice resounded through a few hundred miles of land at a moderate speed. Although the 100 Leaf Qin clan is only a branch of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan, we view the bloodline of the Qin clan as our pride. We swear to defend the dignity of the Qin clan with our lives. Today, those who dare to offend the 100 Leaf Qin clan, I will kill you without mercy. This voice did not carry the kind of sharp and angry rebuke. However, it had conveyed a form of unquestionable dignity. As soon as General Manager Su heard this voice, his expression changed instantly. Countless thoughts flashed across his mind. Indeed, the 100 Leaf Qin clan has many trump cards. This voice could travel a few hundred miles at such speed. He knew that he could not achieve such power. In terms of sending the voice a few hundred miles away, Even elite warriors at the perfect stage would be able to do it. However, that kind of transmission could only be achieved by activating the spiritual chi endlessly. At this moment, this voice did not seem to be in a rush. Apparently, he had only spoken a few simple words and did not use the spiritual chi deliberately. To be able to pass through the obstruction of the surrounding mountains and teleport here, this was power. An absolute power that no one could doubt. Profound void martial stage. Instantly, this thought emerged in General Manager Su's mind. When he thought here, he immediately understood that this attack on the 100 Leaf Chin clan would not be as easy as he had imagined. Even if Commander Chun were to step out, it would be a tough battle. If the situation were to develop that way, no one would be able to come to their aid. General Manager Su glanced at him coldly and saw that the face of the guy with the iron tower was full of confidence. He did not show any intention to stop his attacks. He knew that he was not worried about the safety of the 100 Leaf Chin clan. From this point, he could infer that the 100 Leaf Chin clan had already seen through his diversion tactic and had made a timely deployment. When that guy saw General Manager Su retreating in defeat, he laughed. "Su, give me your life." General Manager Su made a prompt decision and dashed to the sky at a high speed. He shouted, "Everyone retreat, do not linger." It seemed that Qin Wushuang had expected this order. He raised his head and saw that General Manager Su had already dashed to the sky. With a flash of sword light, he rode on that sword light to escape. Naturally, this General Manager Su had mastered the flying sword technique. Thus, his speed was fast. As soon as he had given the order, he could escape with a whoosh. However, those elite warriors at the refined void martial stage did not have it easy. At the refined void martial stage, they could only refine their appearance and could not fly in the sky. This difference had made their situation extremely difficult. Under the attack of those three brothers, they kept retreating in defeat. Those advanced stage warriors on the outside scattered and escaped first. As soon as Qin Wushuang made a hand gesture, Bao Bao and Lone shot out. They also mixed in with that group of advanced stage warriors and pretended to run for their lives. You plotted? How was it possible? In a moment, Bao Bao and Lone had killed 3 or 4 fleeing advanced stage warriors without a sound. In a few moves, he had killed all the advanced stage warriors that had escaped. Among this group of 20 people, besides General Manager Su, who was at the Transformation Void Martial stage, the other 5 were at the Refined Void Martial stage. 6 of them were at the Perfect stage, and 8 were at the Advanced stage. Among the 8 advanced stage warriors, 2 of them were disguised by Bao Bao and Lone. Thus, the remaining 6 advanced stage warriors had lost their lives without a sound when they were ambushed by Bao Bao and Lone. Currently, the 6 perfect stage warriors were also running for their lives in a hurry. They did not pay attention to what was ahead of them. Qin Wushuang mixed in with the group of perfect stage warriors. Suddenly, Bao Bao and Lone rushed out from the dense forest almost at the same time. "Everyone stop! There's an ambush ahead." An ambush. Those perfect stage warriors all stopped with suspicion. Apparently, they were also somewhat surprised when they saw Bao Bao and Lone's sorry state. They did not suspect these two at all. What kind of ambush is ahead? Qin Wushuang walked up at the right time. Bao Bao scuttled over with a face full of fear. "Boss, let's change direction." Us advanced stage warriors had rushed in. Only his 2 brothers were lucky enough to run a little slower. The rest of the people are all dead. All dead? Qin Wushuang also pretended to be stunned. Lone immediately said, "Not a single one was left alive." Qin Wushuang said in a low voice, "Then let's retreat in another direction. Everyone, us 3 brothers do not care how you go. You should not interfere with where we go." Qin Wushuang deliberately said to those 5 perfect stage warriors. Those 5 looked at each other and apparently, they were also conflicted. While they were hesitating, Bao Bao and Lone exchanged a glance. Almost at the same time, the 2 of them rushed towards the 2 elite warriors closest to them. Almost without any accident, these 2 fell to the ground at the same time. Bao Bao and Lone had taken their lives. This sudden change of events made those three remaining perfect stage warriors dumbstruck. Before they could react, they only sensed the danger instinctively and dashed forward. Qin Wushuang narrowed his eyes and held the graceful spiritual bow in his hand. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He shot out 3 arrows at the same time. An unprecedented level of control, an unprecedented level of might. Qin Wushuang shot these 3 arrows from his heart, and instantly, they had reached the peak. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 440. After Qin Wushuang had entered the perfect stage of the spiritual martial force, he did not deliberately aim for the next stage or the void martial force. The more homework he did, the more effort he put into improving his combat skills and perfecting his moves. During this time, Qin Wushuang had not only integrated the hegemon breaking formation spear well, he had also strengthened the integration with the graceful spiritual bow. Currently, compared to when he had first acquired the graceful spiritual bow, regardless of stage or power, Qin Wushuang could not be mentioned in the same breath. Initially, he had to use a lot of effort to deal with Devil Boy. At that time, he had just used the graceful spiritual bow and could not unleash even half of its power. After a few years of accumulation, along with the rise of his own strength and the continuous integration with the graceful spiritual bow, his control over the graceful spiritual bow had also increased tremendously. He could already unleash close to 30% of the graceful spiritual bow's power. How could he underestimate the power of 3 arrows shot together? Although those 3 had escaped at a fast speed, the jade-green arrows shot out by Qin Wushuang's graceful spiritual bow were 10 times faster than their escape speed. 3 jade-green arrows, like green elves of death, directly pierced into the backs of the 3 men. Pop! With 3 consecutive piercing sounds, that green light suddenly swelled inside the bodies of those 3. Suddenly, the 3 bodies were like balloons that had been blown up, or like inflated toads. Their entire bodies had become deformed. Next, a violent explosion resounded through the sky. The 3 rapidly expanding bodies had expanded to a certain extreme and exploded with a loud boom. Boom! Instantly, the violent explosion had collapsed half of the entire forest. On the other side, 8 elite warriors at the refined Void Martial stage were engaged in an endless battle. It was not that Red Pine, Honored Warrior, and his friends did not want to escape. However, the fighting style of those 3 brothers was too swift and fierce. They did not give them any chance to escape. With the slightest carelessness, most likely those 3 would seize the opportunity. Qin Wushuang returned quickly with Bao Bao and Lone. He looked around. Boss of the Wu family, what are you guys doing back here? With his sharp eyes, that Mr. Ji saw Qin Wushuang and his friends who had returned. Qin Wushuang still had a face full of panic as he cried out, Mr. Ji, hurry and take care of these 3 guys. There is an ambush ahead. Instantly, the expression on Mr. G's old face changed as he called out to Red Pine, Honored Warrior. Senior Red Pine, the general is useless and exhausted the army. We have been delayed. Red Pine, Honored Warrior, was also unspeakably bitter as hell as he cried out, Head Supervisor, he is an idiot. He ran away first and left us here to suffer. I'm not fighting anymore. Retreat. Hee hee, it's too late to retreat now. The 3 brothers laughed sinisterly. Brothers, it's time. Red Pine, Honored Warrior said, Honored Warrior. Red Pine, Honored Warrior, Warrior. Red Pine, Honored Warrior. Red Pine, Honored Master. However, Mr. G called out, Red Pine, Honored Warrior, come closer to me. At this time, we cannot show off our abilities. We must work together and get through this obstacle. Red Pine, Venerable cursed. Brothers of the Wu clan, why the F***CK are you guys standing there like idiots? Go inform Commander Chun and the others to come and help. Qin Wushuang narrowed his eyes into a line and smiled lightly. Red Pine, Honored Warrior, don't worry, I will go now. Go. While he was speaking, suddenly, a flash appeared before Red Pine, honored warrior. A wave of green light pierced through the sky from afar and went straight to his Dantian with the power to pierce through the sky. What is this? Red Pine, honored warrior, did not react. Suddenly, Bao Bao and Lone unleashed their power from his back and attacked from left and right. Red Pine, honored warrior, never expected that the Wu brothers from the same camp would attack him. And the power of this attack was not the advanced stage they had shown before. Instead, it was the refined Void Martial stage that was even more powerful than them. Impossible. Red Pine, honored warrior, roared in despair. Facing enemies from all sides, he did not know where to hide. Instantly, Bao Bao smashed him from the back and smashed him into a pile of meat paste. Even his Dantian had been shattered. Bao Bao and Lone unleashed their ferocious nature. Together, they attacked the other target. At this time, the power of Qin Wushuang's and Lone honored warriors' combined fighting style was revealed after a long period of cooperation. Almost at the same time, when Bao Bao and Lone attacked together, Qin Wushuang's second arrow also arrived like a shadow. This kind of long-range attack, coupled with close-range combat, was the most difficult to defend against. Almost like a set pattern, instantly, another one was taken out. This way, not only was General Manager Su dumbstruck, even those three brothers were somewhat surprised. However, their brains were not slow, as they immediately understood that these three people who had appeared out of nowhere were on their side. Since Qin Wushuang had taken out two of them without warning, the refined Void Martial Stage warriors from General Manager Su's camp no longer had any advantage in numbers. Instantly, they had fallen into a disadvantage in terms of numbers. Initially, even with the advantage in numbers, they were still retreating in defeat. Now, the defense system of the five of them had been disrupted. Naturally, they were in an even worse state. Another one was taken out by the joint attack of those three brothers. The remaining two were like candles in the wind as they were attacked by the two powerhouses. It was only a matter of time before they died. Almost in a moment, both of them had lost their lives. Bao Bao picked up Qin Wushuang's 3 jade green arrows and presented them to Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang withdrew his smile and cupped his hands in a salute to those three. You three, may I ask what position you hold in the 100-Leaf Qin clan? Although the attitude of those three was somewhat arrogant, they did not show much hostility. They sized Qin Wushuang and his friends from head to toe. Apparently, they were still on guard. Although Qin Wushuang and his friends had helped the three of them to take out those 5 tough guys, their father had already warned them that humans were cunning. They would do anything to achieve their goals. Perhaps this was a ploy. What kind of trash are you three? 3 against 3, 6 pairs of eyes sized each other up. All of them were full of vigilance. Those 3 were afraid that Qin Wushuang and his friends would attack them violently. On the other hand, Qin Wushuang was also on guard against the other party's indiscriminate attacks. Bao Bao came over and said, "Boss, a moment ago, I used my spiritual perception to sense them. I could sense the presence of the Beast Clan from their bodies. This is the unique sensing power of the Beast Clan. I am sure that they are not disciples of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, but the Beast Clan. Vacuum refinement is the same as us." Qin Wushuang was slightly surprised as he sized those 3 across from him. You 3, the 3 of us do not have bad intentions. Humph, without any proof, who would trust you guys? Bao Bao said angrily. If we had bad intentions, how could we have helped you guys take out those 5? Instead of helping them kill you guys? GMO was a little angry as well. He added, that's right. Although the 3 of you are powerful, to be honest, if the 3 of us help the 5 of them with all our strength, what do you think the situation will be like? Those 3 looked at each other in dismay after hearing their words. They also felt that the other party's words made sense. If these 3 did not help them and help those 5 to deal with the 3 of them, the situation would have been reversed, especially that young man. He held a spiritual bow that had a tyrannical power. Such long-distance attack would be terrifying. Bao Bao said angrily. What would have happened? I am sure that if the 3 of us had helped Red Pine, Honored Warrior, and his friends, the ones lying here would have been the 3 of them. The corners of the three people's mouths carried a hint of a fake smile, and they didn't show much gratitude. Instead, they lazily called out, "Although you've helped us three brothers, who can guarantee that you don't have any bad intentions?" Bao Bao said angrily, "It's fine if you don't know how to be grateful, but don't frame good people. My boss had come from thousands of miles away to help." Thousands of miles away. At this time, suddenly, a wave of spiritual light shot down from the sky. That iron tower-like guy dropped from the sky. He looked at Qin Wushuang and his friends with a face full of confusion. "Great Father, did you catch that guy?" Those three brothers went up to surround him. That iron tower-like guy said with a somewhat depressed tone. That guy did not hesitate to initiate the spiritual qi from his dantian to the limit. He did not hesitate to get hurt and ran away at full speed. I did not want to get hurt needlessly. Thus, I did not initiate my dantian to the limit, and that guy got away. Oh, there was some regret in the tone of those three brothers. However, don't worry. That guy will not recover in less than half a year after initiating his dantian to the limit. This time, for sure, he will not get involved. When that iron tower-like guy said here, he looked at Qin Wushuang and his friends and asked, "What is going on with these three? Weren't they in cahoots with that Su guy?" Those three brothers immediately said, "These three are strange. Great Father, I am worried that they are playing tricks and trying to deceive us." That iron tower-like guy waved his hand to stop their discussion. He took a step forward and said to Qin Wushuang, "Young man, you said you came from thousands of miles away. Where did you come from?" "Don't worry about where we came from. It's not the first time our boss helped the 100-Leaf Qin clan. A few days ago, someone called Qin Guan from the 100-Leaf Qin clan ran away with an injured sister. It was our boss who showed mercy. Not only did he save the siblings, he also gave them healing medicine." "Young man, what is your surname?" As that iron tower-like guy looked at Qin Wushuang, he always felt that between the brows of this young man, there was a familiar heroic spirit. "My surname is Qin." Since there was no one around, naturally, Qin Wushuang did not need to hide his identity. "Qin?" That iron tower-like guy was moved. "Could it be you are from the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan?" Qin Wushuang shook his head. "No, I do not belong to any branch of the Qin clan in the Xianyuan Mount. However, in my body, the genuine bloodline of the Qin clan flows in my veins. The Qin clan is of the same breath and branch. Since the 100-Leaf Qin clan is in trouble, I could not just sit and watch." That Commander Chun used a diversionary tactic and let these people act as a cover. "I only hope that the 100-Leaf Qin clan can resist the attack of their main force." That iron tower-like guy laughed. "You can rest assured. The 100-Leaf Qin clan is impregnable, unless they have an elite warrior at the perfect void martial stage, or else they would need to think twice before breaking the 100-Leaf Qin clan." Qin Wushuang was moved. From his tone, indeed, the 100-Leaf Qin clan had a trump card, and most likely, this trump card was an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage. This is the end of today's Third Watch. It seems that this month's monthly votes are in jeopardy. However, I still want to make a dash. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com to read more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 441. If the 100-Leaf Qin clan also had elite warriors at the profound void martial stage, then they would have the capital to win this battle. Just when Qin Wushuang was about to speak, that guy with the iron tower glanced at Qin Wushuang with a sharp gaze. Suddenly, he said, "Young man, although I believe 70 to 80% of you claiming to be a disciple of the Qin clan, you need to bring out more convincing evidence to win the trust of the entire 100-Leaf Qin clan." Qin Wushuang raised his hand and threw out an identity jade plate. The tower-like man casually grabbed it and took it into his hand. When he fixed his eyes on it, his expression instantly changed. Clearly, the way he looked at Qin Wushuang had changed. This identity jade plate was left behind by the ancestor of the Eastwood Qin clan. It was equivalent to the identity jade plate of a core disciple of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Thus, when this guy with the Iron Tower saw it, he could not help but be intimidated by Qin Wushuang's jade plate. Heavenly Emperor Qin clan? There was some disbelief in his eyes. Don't misunderstand, this is the identity jade plate left behind by my ancestor. Qin Wushuang's explanation allowed the other party to regain his composure. With a smile, the burly man patted his chest and said, "Just like your two companions, I'm also a beast man, haha. This time, I came to this Duckbeak Mountain to probe the depth of the enemy. I didn't expect it to be a lone army. I saw that I could handle it, so I made my move. Haha, this time, it's all thanks to you guys hiding among the enemy. Or else, it would have been difficult to kill them all. It's a pity that Sugai escaped. Come, children, let's get to know each other." That guy with the Iron Tower waved his hand, and his 3 children all came over. After the transformation, these 3 guys had almost the same appearance. It was easy to recognize that they were 3 brothers. That guy with the Iron Tower said, "Brother Qin, you can call me Tai Hong. These 3 are my children. Among the refined Void Martial stage, their combat power is at the top." Qin Wushuang said with a smile, "I've already experienced this. If it weren't for the power of these 3 big brothers, I am afraid the battle would not have ended so easily with the 3 of them restraining 5 refined Void Martial stage warriors." Tai Hong was very excited and nodded. "That's right, Brother Qin. The battle has already started at the castle of the 100 Leaf Qin clan. Let's go together. With the addition of our fresh troops, we can catch them off guard." Qin Wushuang pondered for a moment and said, "Senior Tai Hong, you should go back first. I plan to continue hiding and infiltrate the enemy again. Aren't you afraid that the other party will be suspicious if you infiltrate after the defeat here?" Tai Hong's tone was a little worried. It was obvious that he did not approve of Qin Wushuang's plan to continue hiding. Qin Wushuang insisted, "Nothing ventured, nothing gained." Although General Manager Su's troops were almost completely annihilated, Commander Qin still had a large number of experts under him. In terms of absolute strength, I still have the upper hand. 1 elite warrior at the profound Void Martial stage. Not counting General Manager Su, they still have 5 elite warriors at the transformation Void Martial stage. As for the refined Void Martial stage, they have a dozen. Senior Tai Hong, hurry back to help and report the strength of this side. Only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you win every battle. When Qin Wushuang said here, he turned to Bao Bao and said, "Third, go back to the castle with Senior Tai Hong and take care of the situation." Bao Bao said hesitantly, "Boss, then you don't worry about me. Why go back with second? They will not be suspicious for a while. As long as we release some wrong information to them, we can use our plan to inflict heavy losses on them." Excitement also flashed in Tai Hong's eyes as he nodded. "If we can coordinate with them from the inside, perhaps we can give them a big surprise. As long as we can kill a portion of the enemy's elite warriors, we will have the chance to reduce the consumption of this battle to the minimum and achieve an easy victory." Qin Wushuang cupped his hands in a salute. "Please go back quickly, Senior Tai Hong. Wait for contact." "Okay, Brother Qin, I will wait for your news." Bao Bao received the order and returned with Tai Hong and the others. At this moment, outside the Qin castle, the other 3 general managers had already led their teams to launch a surprise attack on the Qin fortress. Initially, they had planned to launch a surprise attack. Unexpectedly, the 100 Leaf Qin clan had already set up all the defenses and were waiting for them to attack. Since the 100 Leaf Qin clan was prepared, their surprise attack plan had failed. When Tai Hong and his group of fresh troops had returned, the pressure on the 100 Leaf Qin clan had been greatly reduced. It was equivalent to having 3 elite warriors at the transformation Void Martial stage. And there were 9 elite warriors at the refined Void Martial stage. This did not include Bao Bao, the hidden figure. Their plan to launch a surprise attack had been severely hindered. The 3 general managers realized that the defense of the 100 Leaf Qin clan had indeed exceeded their imagination, especially the formation set up by the 100 Leaf Qin clan outside the fortress. It would greatly weaken their strength. Outside the fortress, it was 3 to 5 times more difficult for elite warriors at the transformation void martial stage to fly in the sky. Although these guys had not experienced hundreds of battles, they immediately knew that a gravitational formation had been set up around the fortress. This gravitational formation was a technique of the Earth attribute. For this formation, it could be big or small. Perhaps it would be a simple gravitational technique when used on an individual. However, if it was set up as a formation, it could be a majestic formation with great power. When the formation above the fortress was activated, it had greatly weakened the advantage of the transformation void martial stage warriors in the sky. The most terrifying part was that the 100 Leaf Chin clan's ability to fly in the sky was not restricted by the formation outside the fortress. Thus, even if they were to break through the formation by force, they would be easily beaten by the enemy if they were to enter recklessly. After a long and fruitless battle, these 3 general managers made a prompt decision to cancel the attack and retreat 100 miles. They set up camp and awaited Commander Chin's next orders. That Commander Chin's son was one of the few elite warriors at the profound void martial stage in the Orderly Mountain Prefecture. However, this time they had met their match. Qin Sheng, the 9th great uncle of the 100 Leaf Chin clan, was also an extremely powerful elite warrior at the profound void martial stage. Although he could not break into the perfect void martial stage after a few dozen years of solitary training, he rarely had any opponents at the profound void martial stage. Thus, after fighting with that Chun's son for half a day, no one could gain the upper hand. For this battle, they fought from night to dawn and from dawn to noon. It was still a draw. Initially, Qin Sheng thought that at the level of the profound void martial stage, he would have a great chance of winning. However, he did not expect that although this Chun's son had emerged in recent decades, his subordinates were very tough. He could not gain any advantage. After a long battle, Qin Sheng had the intention to stop the battle as he was concerned about the general situation of the 100 Leaf Chin clan. Coincidentally, that Qin's son also knew that he could not win against this Qin elite warrior that had suddenly emerged. Thus, he had the same thought as Qin Sheng and planned to take a step back first. Thinking this way, both parties only made a few probing moves and retreated with tacit understanding. When Chen Sen returned to the camp, those 3 general managers came up to greet him. The 4 trusted aides that Chen's son had brought also came up to greet him. "Commander Chen, how did it go?" Chen's son waved his hand. "Let's talk inside the main tent." When he asked about the battle situation, those 3 general managers all went up to talk about the details. When Chen's son heard their words, he said with a cautious tone, "This time, not only did we underestimate the strength of the 100 Leaf Chin clan, we also underestimated their judgment." Apparently, they had seen through a first plan. The 100 Leaf Chin clan had already made arrangements. Or else, it would have been impossible for us to fail to take down a single fortress. "Commander Chun, it's mainly because of the disgusting gravitational formation before those 3 major fortresses. This gravitational formation made us, the transformation void martial stage martial artists, unable to unleash our advantage in the air. And their elite warriors at the transformation void martial stage would not be affected. They would be waiting for us to exhaust ourselves. Thus, we did not dare to charge in recklessly." Chun's son said in a low voice, "Indeed, the 100 Leaf Chin clan has some tricks up their sleeves. You guys were right not to go in. Once you had gone in, most likely there would be some traps. For today's battle, although we did not lose, we did not achieve our goal. In terms of sharpness, we had lost some. Commander Chun, that 100 Leaf Chin clan also has an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage. Usually, in a state, a transformation void martial stage martial artist is already impressive. Among the powerhouses of the state, there are very few at the profound void martial stage." One of the general managers of the He clan said with some frustration, "It seems that the 100 Leaf Chin clan had truly received a lot of benefits from the Heavenly Emperor Chin clan. Or else, with their foundation, how could they have an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage?" There is also a trace of depression in Commander Chen's tone. Let's stop here for today. Give the order to retreat 300 miles and regroup with General Manager Su. We will set up camp again. Okay. While they were talking, the curtain of the tent was opened and a person walked in from the outside. It was one of Commander Chen's trusted aides at the refined Void Marshal stage. He walked in with a solemn expression and said with a trembling voice, "Great Commander, General Manager Su's side is not doing well." "What do you mean?" Inwardly, Commander Chun was trembling violently. On the surface, he appeared to be calm. On General Manager Su's side, 2 survivors had fled here to seek shelter. They said that their team had encountered a surprise attack, and most of them had been killed. A small half of them had escaped. Even General Manager Su himself had gone missing. Commander Chun could not help but be stunned. The others even stood up in disbelief. Apparently, this news had shocked them. "Bring them in." After all, Commander Chun was the leader, and he was the first one to react. That trusted aide walked out. In a moment, he had brought Qin Wushuang and Lone into the big tent. "It's my pleasure to meet you, Commander Chun and General Manager Su." Currently, Qin Wushuang and Lone also appeared to be battered and exhausted. Their appearance made it impossible for anyone to doubt them. Even General Manager Su had escaped. Commander Qin still found it hard to believe. General Manager Su had been chased by an iron tower-like guy and had disappeared without trace. The 5 elite warriors at the refined Void Marshal stage had been restrained by the enemy and were at a disadvantage. Before General Manager Su had left, he had ordered everyone to retreat. Us people at the Spiritual Martial Force were at the outermost area and had the best position to retreat. Even so, most of us had been chased by the enemy. A small number of us had escaped. Only 2 of us had discussed and decided to come here to meet with the headquarters. Qin Wushuang was in danger, but he was not in a hurry. On the contrary, he was even calmer. P.S. I am a guest today and will come back at night. 1 chapter less. 3 chapters tomorrow. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author and support the original reading. Chapter 442. Qin Wushuang's words were not smooth. But the more it was like this, the more believable it seemed to Commander Chun. Commander Chun asked in a low voice, "The team that attacked you was able to almost annihilate your entire team? How many people were there? How strong were they?" Qin Wushuang said, "There were only 6 of them." 6 people? Commander Chun was shocked. 6 people could beat your team of 20 into such a sorry state and almost annihilate your entire team. Yes, the strongest tower-like man with a burly body attacked General Manager Su first. Then the 3 young warriors trapped the 5 powerful warriors at the refined Void Marshal stage. The remaining 2 will attack us who are in the Spirit Marshal Force. That group of people was very strong. Us 3 brothers had the most advantageous position, but we were also scattered. Now, we don't know if our 3rd brother is dead or alive. GMO put on a depressed look at the right time. Big brother is probably dead. I don't think any of the other companions could escape. Then how are the 2 of you going to escape? Could it be that you guys escaped without permission? Next to Commander Chun, that general manager, he sized Qin Wushuang and his friends with some doubts. Qin Wushuang sighed. "General Manager, although we are only freelance martial artists, we know the rules. How dare we violate the rules set by the commander himself? If General Manager Su didn't give the order to retreat, even if we died, we wouldn't have escaped first. If we had escaped first, how could we have returned to the headquarters? The others are all dead. Dead people tell no tales. Of course you have nothing to fear." Qin Wushuang had a trace of humiliation on his face. Since he was putting on a show, he might as well make it real. He pretended to be wronged and explained, "Commander, we 3 brothers of the Wu family came from the Gobi Desert. We don't know what it means to have nothing to fear." At that time, the team was scattered, but not all of them were killed. At least, General Manager Su should have escaped successfully. Whether or not the 2 of us escaped without orders, when the time comes to meet up with Chief Steward Su, Lord Commander can personally ask Chief Steward Su. If the two of us escaped without permission, we will not frown even if you want to kill us. At this moment, Commander Chen clearly didn't care whether they escaped or not. The rules were only a restriction to motivate everyone to fight against the enemy. Since General Manager Su's team had already been defeated and annihilated, how they were annihilated was no longer important. Chief Steward if the Wu brothers ran away on their own, I don't think they have the guts or the face to come here. As long as Chief Steward Su doesn't die, we will find out the truth one day. Now that the truth is unknown, we are still friends in the trenches. There is no need to suspect each other. Commander Chen knew how to win the hearts of the people. He knew better than anyone that at this time, finding out who was responsible was secondary. Stabilizing the morale of the army was the most important. If the Wu brothers were to be executed, it would make everyone even more uneasy. Hearing Commander Chen's words, Chief Steward naturally did not have any objections. Initially, he did not hold any grudges with Qin Wushuang. He only wanted to show some enthusiasm before Commander Chen and show his presence. To put it bluntly, he wanted to flatter Commander Chen and show that he always remembered the rules that Commander Chen had set. Everyone, from the description of the Wu brothers, indeed, the strength of this 100-Leaf Qin clan was beyond our expectations. Under our siege, they were still able to send out a team to launch a surprise attack on General Manager Su's team. Regardless of manpower or courage, they were above our expectations. Up to this point, Commander Chen did not try to conceal his wrong judgment. I must say that initially, I had misjudged the 100-Leaf Qin clan. This is my mistake. When Commander Chen said these words, not only did it make his previous wrong decision appear less dazzling, it also made people feel that he was a responsible leader. All three chief stewards said, "Commander Chen, the situation at that time was not only your judgment, it was also the unanimous opinion of all the chief stewards. We never thought that the 100-Leaf Qin clan had hidden so many trump cards." Suddenly, an elite warrior at the transformation void martial stage next to Commander Chen said, "Great Commander, could it be that the elite warrior at the profound void martial stage that fought with you today was an elite warrior sent by the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan?" Yes, regarding the 100-Leaf Qin clan, could they have nurtured an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage? I don't really believe it. Currently, the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan has closed their doors and is having a problem protecting themselves. How could they send people to help the 100-Leaf Qin clan? That might not be the case. The Heavenly Emperor Qin clan is like a centipede that never falls down. At the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, they were pushed aside by the other major powerhouses. Perhaps they were at a disadvantage because they were exhausted. However, regarding the competition between a state and a territory, even if they had sent a random elite warrior, it would be enough to intimidate the entire Orderly Mountain Prefecture. This was the truth. After all, the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan was one of the top powerhouses among the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates. Even if they were pushed aside, even if people joined hands to retaliate, it would be an open and covert competition between the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates. That level of competition would be the highest level competition in the Xian Yuan Mount. Not many powerhouses from the lower prefectures would be able to participate in that level of competition. Not to mention that at their level, at most, they were only at the level of a territory or a state. Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. The expression on Commander Chen's face was somewhat unsightly, as he seemed to be lost in thought. After a while, Commander Chen spoke slowly. When attacking the 100-Leaf Qin clan, we must finish it quickly. The longer we drag it out, the more disadvantageous it would be. Although the powerhouse that assigned this mission would certainly pay attention to the movements of the disciples of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan, they could not guarantee that no one from the Qin clan would come to help. This 100-Leaf Qin clan is extremely important to the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. The longer we drag it out, the higher the possibility of reinforcements from the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Commander's words make sense. Commander, currently, the 100-Leaf Qin clan possesses tyrannical strength. Our group of people is at most on par with them. We have to find a way to deal with them. Commander Chen nodded. I already have an idea. Everyone, You will continue to set up camp in this area and form a situation of surrounding the 100-Leaf Chain clan. I will go get some reinforcements. I will make it back in 5 or 7 days. Commander, you're the leader of our group. If you go to get reinforcements, I am afraid we will be like a snake without a head. Commander Chun turned around and instructed his 2 trusted aides of the transformation void marshal stage. Chun Tong, Chunda, you 2 will be in charge of all major matters during my absence. Then he said to those 3 general managers, Chun Tong and Chunda are my younger brothers. You 3 will listen to their arrangements for all major matters. Okay. Then Commander Chen looked at Qin Wushuang and Lone and said again, this time, General Manager Su will not return in a short time. It's rare for these 2 to risk their lives to regroup here. Which one of you is willing to take them in and add them to your team? A general manager with the surname Zhao said with a smile. This time, I just lost 3 or 4 people. It's not bad to add them to my team. Okay, from now on, you 2 will follow General Manager Zhao. After Commander Chan had arranged everything, he let Qin Wushuang and Lone go out. Everyone, this time I'm going to ask for help from the strongest powerhouse in the Orderly Mountain Prefecture. None of you can take my place. When Commander Chen said here, he suddenly stopped and suppressed his voice. He said in a low voice, General Manager Zhao, do you know my intention for putting those 2 into your team? General Manager Zhao was somewhat doubtful. Apparently, he had not understood Commander Chen's intention. Commander Chen said, these 2 have come with strange intentions. I cannot determine if they are the remnants of the defeated soldiers. However, if General Manager Su could not escape, and these 2 brothers could escape here, there must be something suspicious. Didn't they say that General Manager Su had escaped? Before General Manager Su had returned, they were already suspicious. Commander Chen suppressed his voice and said again, a moment ago, I deliberately said that you guys could not take my place. It was a move to test them. If they are truly suspicious, they must have been sent by the 100-Leaf Chain clan. If that's the case, we can sell them some fake information and let them send it to the 100-Leaf Chain clan. We can beat them at their own game. Hearing Commander Chen's words, that general manager, he became excited. He immediately followed. I knew it. These 2 guys are somewhat strange. So you're also suspicious of them. Commander Chun smiled lightly. For any matter, we must consider all sides. I'm not suspecting them completely. I'm only making some necessary precautions in this area. I rather hope that they are spies sent by the 100-Leaf Chain clan. Haha, I understand. For these 2 guys, their combat power will not affect the overall situation much. However, if they are spies, if we use them well, they will be more useful. Yes, I had deliberately said those words for them to hear. However, the matter of asking for help is absolutely true. However, this commander will absolutely not leave this place. Shintong, you will take a trip to the Dark Green Cloud Daoist sect for me. Dark Green Cloud Daoist sect? Shintong was greatly surprised. The other people also revealed a surprised expression. All of them knew that the Dark Green Cloud Daoist sect was unquestionably the #1 powerhouse in the Orderly Mountain Prefecture. Compared to them, even someone as powerful as Commander Chen still needed to look up before the gigantic Dark Green Cloud Daoist sect. Thus, when they heard that Commander Chen was going to ask for help from the Dark Green Cloud Daoist sect, everyone was astonished. No need to be surprised. Of course, we cannot invite the honored Daoist of the Dark Green Cloud Daoist sect. However, the Dark Green Cloud Daoist sect has an elder Dong, Qian, who owes me a great favor in the past. Take my letter and ask to see Elder Dong Qian. For sure there will be a response. I will explain everything in this letter. Qin Tong nodded in response. Okay, I will take a trip to that Dark Green Cloud Daoist sect. Fortunately, this place was not far from the Dark Green Cloud Daoist sect. With Qin Tong's power at the transformation void marshal stage, it would take him at most 2 days to fly back and forth. Commander Qin did as he said. Immediately, he wrote a letter and gave it to Qin Tong. He instructed, when you go to the Dark Green Cloud Daoist sect, act with a low profile. You only need to see Elder Dong Qian. Don't get involved with anything else. Regarding the dark green cloud Taoist sect, Commander Chun was still restraining his fear. Thus, he was extremely careful with his words of instruction. They're a guest today, so I will update late. However, I said yesterday that I will update 3 chapters. Even if I work until midnight, I will update 3 chapters. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 443. Shintong took the letter and put it into his storage equipment. Just when he was about to leave, he was stopped by Commander Chen's gaze. Don't panic. Leave quietly in the middle of the night. Don't make any noise. Besides the people in this tent, no one else is allowed to know this secret. Here, besides the general managers, everyone else was Commander Chen's trusted subordinates. Naturally, all the secrets that had happened here would not be leaked. Those 3 general managers bowed and accepted the order. Rest assured, Commander, we will keep it a secret until the end. During this time, you guys must act together. Just treat it as me going out to ask for help. The atmosphere had to show that I wasn't here. If the 2 of them try to escape or slip away, you have to find a way to make them leave. Old Zhao, don't keep an eye on them and don't test them. Let everything happen naturally. There is only one goal, and that is to let them feel that I've left here. Okay. General Manager Zhao accepted the order. Commander, what if they are not spies from the 100 Leaf Qin clan? If they are not, we have nothing to lose. It's just a show. After Commander Chun had explained everything, he announced that they were dismissed and returned to their own tents. After Qin Wushuang and Lone had left the tent, they did not show off too much and arrived at General Manager Zhao's area. After a moment, they saw General Manager Zhao had returned. You 2 will set up camp in this area. Remember, since you have entered my organization, you must listen to my orders. Do not have any strange thoughts and break the rules. We understand. Qin Wushuang and Lone both answered. Go. During the night, you must stay alert. Be careful of the enemy's attack. Also, do not leak any information you heard in the tent. Don't worry, Sir Manager. We 2 brothers are very tactful. General Manager Zhao's personality was not as suspicious as General Manager Su. After he had given a few instructions, he entered his own tent. After Qin Wushuang and Lone had set up camp, they rested inside the tent. Lone sent his voice. Boss, it seems that Commander Chun has already left? Qin Wushuang waved his hand and said, Not necessarily. Didn't he say that he wanted to end the battle quickly? If you want to call for reinforcements, of course it's better to leave as soon as possible. Second brother, if you were in their shoes, what would you think when you suddenly saw us 2 deserters? Lone thought for a while and smiled. If it were me, I would despise them from the bottom of my heart, and I would never assign any important mission to 2 deserters. Then, does Commander Chen despise us? Qin Wushuang asked again. I don't think so. GMO was not sure either, but he knew that Chief Steward he seemed to have a grudge against them. As for that guy, I don't know if he's trying to curry favor or not. Why do they have to slander us? How despicable. That guy only wants to curry favor with Commander Chun. Among the 4 Chief Stewards, Chief Steward Su was the most meticulous. This guy was just lucky. If he was assigned to Chief Steward Su's mission, I'm afraid he wouldn't even have the chance to escape. So, that guy is not a threat. Qin Wushuang analyzed carefully. Then who needs to be on guard the most? GMO was quite curious. Commander Chun. Qin Wushuang's tone was cold, and his expression showed that he was not joking. Commander Chun? Of course. He's an expert of the profound void martial stage. You're lying to yourself if you say you don't need to be on guard. Although GMO was arrogant and proud, he also admired Commander Chen's strength from the bottom of his heart. Strength is a problem. The most important thing is that Commander Chen's methods are even better than Chief Steward Su's. Qin Wushuang sighed. That Chief Steward Su is meticulous, but he has a shortcoming after all. This shortcoming also caused him to be unable to become an ambitious and ruthless person. He can only follow others and fight for his life. Big brother, we mean. GMO was a bit confused. Qin Wushuang said coldly. It's very simple. That Chief Steward Su is meticulous and suspicious. However, he has a fatal shortcoming. That is, he could not hide these suspicions deep inside his heart. Regardless of his actions or his casual expressions, he would always show his suspicions. However, that Commander Chun is not the same. Don't be fooled by his dignified words in the big tent. I'm almost certain that he has already suspected us. Suspected us? Suspected that we are deserters? Could it be that he truly believed the nonsense of that guy? No. Qin Wushuang shook his head. Whether we are deserters or not, it would not affect the situation much. Certainly, Commander Chun would not waste his time. I think that most likely he already suspects that we are spies sent by the 100-Leaf Qin clan. This, instantly, GMO was stupefied. That's impossible, right? I feel that the two of us did not reveal any flaws. Because we did not reveal any flaws and performed flawlessly, most likely, it would arouse his suspicions. Of course, if it were anyone else, it would be normal to be suspicious under such circumstances. However, Commander Chun did not suspect us at all. This is not normal. Boss, you humans are too cunning. GMO was also completely speechless. He only asked, then what should we do? If Commander Chun suspected them, then they would be in an extremely dangerous situation. At least, GMO thought so. Once they became the target of Commander Chen's suspicion, with the absolute power of an elite warrior at the profound Void Martial stage, he would rather kill the two of them than leave any future troubles. What should we do? Qin Wushuang was even calmer in this dangerous situation. Let's not do anything now. Just wait. Wait for what? GMO was somewhat confused. Wait for the opportunity. Wait for the truth to come to light. At least, wait for useful information. Wait for everything to become clear. Qin Wushuang was calm and collected. I'm afraid that Commander Chen will not give us time to wait. GMO had his own opinion. If it were me, once I became suspicious, I would definitely eliminate the source of trouble. Boss, didn't you say that we should not use people if we were suspicious? Since he is suspicious, he would not use us. Since it's useless and suspicious, what better way to solve the problem than to kill us? Yes. Qin Wushuang's answer was abnormally firm. He waved his hand at GMO. Second, let's make a deduction. I will ask and you will answer. Okay, boss, ask. GMO was rather straightforward. Think about it. If you were Commander Chun, would you tell us that you're going somewhere to ask for reinforcements in front of us? For such top secret, besides people at the general manager level, how could they easily leak it? Perhaps he was careless and forgot that we were next to him. It might be possible for such carelessness to happen to you. However, it is impossible for someone like Commander Chun to have such carelessness. Besides, after we came out, they stayed for a while. Initially, Commander Chen's voice was loud, but suddenly it became silent. Although I could not stop to observe, my instincts told me that Commander Chun said that he was going to ask for help from the strongest powerhouse in the Orderly Mountain Prefecture. And no one could do it for him. After those words, the entire camp seemed to have become silent. Yeah, perhaps they were truly making some secret arrangements to avoid our eyes and ears. It's normal, and this doesn't mean anything. However, you said that Commander Chun would not make such a low-level mistake and say that he was going to ask for help in front of us. He even told us the exact date. It would take at least 3 days, and at most 5 or 7 days. Yes, this seems to be a small problem. If you don't pay attention, perhaps you would not think anything of it. The more Qin Wushuang thought about it, the more he felt that there was more to it. All right, let's say that Commander Chun is suspicious of us. Just as I said, since he is suspicious, wouldn't it be the most appropriate to kill us? Why would he arrange us to work under General Manager Zhao? This was the part that GMO did not understand. Qin Wushuang chuckled and continued to send his voice. This is the most complicated part of the entire process. In your opinion, killing us is the most appropriate method. Is this not the most appropriate method? Appropriate is the most appropriate, but it is definitely not the most practical. Qin Wushuang's tone appeared deep. Practical? GMO frowned as he could not understand this. Let's think about it again. If we are spies from the 100-Leaf Chin clan, to them, killing us is only killing two characters that are not much of a threat. However, if they do not kill us, there would be a lot of things to do. What things to do? GMO was still shrouded in fog, as he could not figure out the clues. This is complicated. Think about it. If we are spies from the 100-Leaf Chin clan and Commander Chun told us that he was going to leave in a few days to ask for help, then, as spies, would we not pass this secret to the 100-Leaf Chin clan? Yes, for sure. GMO nodded. Then, if this is fake news, and Commander Chun did not go. This way, if the 100-Leaf Chin clan received this fake news and sent people to launch a sneak attack, wouldn't they fall right into Commander Chen's trap? The difference between Commander Chen being here and not being here is huge. Think about it carefully. GMO's face turned green as he nodded slowly. Boss, for what you said, it does seem like it. If that is fake news, we would have passed it on. Most likely, the 100-Leaf Chin clan would have fallen into this trap. Such a vicious person, such a vicious strategy. Qin Wushuang responded coldly. It seems that this competition is destined to be a competition of both intelligence and strength. Boss, if that's the case, how long should we wait? We don't have to wait too long. 1 or 2 days will be enough. In our eyes, all the signs indicate that Commander Chun has already left. Therefore, all of this must be Commander Chen's plan to set us up. If everything is foggy and we cannot see it clearly, then it means that Commander Chun did not suspect anything. Yes, then let's observe for 1 or 2 days. That night was silent. On the second day, General Manager Zhao did his routine inspection of the camp. When he found Qin Wushuang's tent, he reminded them, "You too, in the next few days, do not leave the tent if you have nothing to do. Don't talk about it to the outside world. In a moment, Mr. Chunda will come to inspect the camp. You guys must be alert and don't embarrass me." Inwardly, Qin Wushuang's heart thumped as he was even more certain of his previous judgment. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 444. After General Manager Zhao had left the tent, Lone shot a glance at Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang understood tacitly as he nodded and sent his voice. "Second, you saw it." General Manager Zhao's inspection had a hidden meaning. What kind of message was he trying to convey? Lone had to admit. He told us not to leave the tent and not to talk among ourselves. Wasn't he telling us not to spread the news that Commander Chun had left to seek help? Now, do you think Commander Chun had left or not? Qin Wushuang asked with interest. No. At this time, Lone's brain was also sharp. Qin Wushuang nodded with confidence. No rush to make a conclusion. It's not too late to make a conclusion after that Chunda has come to inspect. Lone nodded. Okay. Ha. Perhaps from Commander Chin's point of view, it's more beneficial for them that we are spies from the 100-Leaf Chin clan. And for me, at this moment, I also feel that the more they treat us as spies, the happier I am. These words had made Lone completely confused. Why is that? This is called beating them at their own game. The more they feel that we are spies, the more they want us to send a false message back to the 100-Leaf Chin clan. This way, our situation will be safer. Second, do you believe that even if we sneak out now, they would not chase after us? They would only treat it as an oversight and let us go. I believe you. Currently, Lone was prostrating himself before Qin Wushuang. He would believe whatever Qin Wushuang said. He was able to maintain such a relaxed attitude in such a dangerous place. Not to mention anything else, just this courage alone was worthy of admiration. Not to mention that Qin Wushuang was able to stay calm and deal with an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage like Commander Chen. With this mental preparation, when Chunda came to inspect again, it was much easier for the two of them to deal with him. Although this Chunda was an elite warrior at the transformation void martial stage, his presence was not as strong as Commander Chun. Plus, Commander Chun had given strict orders not to show off or to probe. There is only one goal that made them believe that Commander Chun had left. After patrolling for a moment, Chinda also left. However, Chinda did pass on a message. From today onwards, the previous mission of patrolling every 2 hours would be changed to patrolling every hour, and each subordinate of the general manager must participate. This slight change also conveyed a message. Commander Chun had left. If Commander Chun was not absent, why would they change the patrol schedule? However, the more they passed on this message without batting an eyelid, the more Qin Wushuang believed that Commander Chun was bluffing them. He had set up a giant trap and was waiting for them to fall into it. Inside Commander Chen's secret tent, Chief Steward Zhao and Chunda were carefully serving him. How was it? How did they perform? Commander Chun was very concerned about this matter. Chief Manager Zhao rushed to say, "They look very calm and collected. They don't seem to be as scared as they were on the first day. It seems that the psychological quality of these two brothers is very strong." Commander Chin smiled coldly. "Are they very calm?" Chinda added, "They're very calm. Moreover, I observe them coldly. They seem to be listening carefully to every word I said. From the looks of it, they seem to be pondering over my words. Lord Commander, it looks like these two people are indeed guilty." Chief Steward, he seized the opportunity to say. Commander Chin's face always had that kind of calm and unchanging smile. "Observe a little more. They may be observing right now. Lord Commander, what should we do next?" Commander Zhao was still somewhat worried. After all, those two were arranged to be his subordinates. In this way, the burden on his shoulders was not light. "Don't do anything. Wait patiently. Wait for them to make the first move." Commander Chun smiled calmly. "I said the date. If they are spies, they will definitely make a move within 3 days. If they don't make a move within 3 days, regardless of whether they're spies or not, they will be killed without mercy." "Why is that?" Chinda was stunned. "If they wanted to kill, why not do it now? Why do they have to wait for 3 days? If they don't make a move within 3 days, there are only 2 possibilities. The first possibility is that they are not spies. The second possibility is that they are spies, but they have already seen through our plan. Therefore, they will act as if nothing happened. These 2 possibilities determine the fate of their deaths." Commander Chin's tone finally had a trace of spiciness. Inadvertently, his ambitious and ruthless nature was revealed. If they are not spies, there is not much use in keeping them. Whether they are here or not, it will not affect the overall situation. If they disappear quietly, it will not affect the morale of the army. If they are spies, if they don't make a move within 3 days, it means that they have seen through my plan. Such people are very scheming. Keeping them by our side is a disaster. Using them is too risky. If things go wrong, we will be used by them." Chinda nodded thoughtfully. He finally understood. "Remember, 3 days. In these 3 days, do not monitor them or test them. If they want to take the chance to run away, let them. If they run away, it is very likely that they have been tricked by us." Director, he smiled flatteringly. "To be precise, they have been tricked by Commander." Just like that, the first day passed peacefully. Tomorrow morning, Qin Wushuang and GMO were assigned a patrol mission. They were in charge of patrolling the east side of the camp. The patrol mission was not complicated. Moreover, they took turns. Because it was about to be their turn, Qin Wushuang and GMO did not rest, but stayed in the camp. GMO was a little anxious. "Boss, no matter whether this is Commander Chen's plan or not, I think it is better for us to leave here than to stay here." Qin Wushuang smiled. "Who said we were going to stay here? Then we leave now?" GMO said anxiously. Qin Wushuang shook his head. "Now is not the time to leave. I guess if Commander Chun is here, he must be secretly observing our movements. If we do not make any movements, it will be more dangerous. If they suspect that we are spies and we do not make any movements, it will make them even more suspicious. Thus, we must make some movements to confuse them." "What movements?" GMO said with surprise. "Wait for Bao Bao to come." Qin Wushuang said, "Perhaps tonight, or perhaps tomorrow, Bao Bao will come. During this time, we will not make any movements and act as if nothing had happened." Just as Qin Wushuang had expected, Bao Bao had come before the sun had risen. Third, you are really here. GMO was extremely excited as he sent his voice. The situation has changed. Bao Bao was surprised. What? That Commander Chun is already suspicious of me and boss. GMO said, What? What should we do? How about I use the Earth Elemental technique to take you guys away? Bao Bao was also extremely anxious when he heard that Qin Wushuang and the others were in danger. However, Qin Wushuang remained calm as he waved his hand to let Bao Bao control his emotions. Bao Bao, don't be hasty. Although they're suspicious of me, and second, for now, there is no problem with our safety. They also plan to use us to send fake news back to the 100-Leaf Qin clan. You should go back and tell the Qin clan that Commander Chun must have already sent people to call for reinforcements. Thus, the 100-Leaf Qin clan must also make preparations to deal with sudden situations. Of course, it's best to strike first. Strike first? Bao Bao and GMO were both curious. Qin Wushuang still sent his voice through his voice. Yes, strike first. Go back and tell the people of the 100-Leaf Qin clan that there is a plan. Like this. Bao Bao kept nodding when he heard. Okay, boss, be careful. I will go back now. Although Bao Bao was the Gold Monkey King and had the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey, his current strength was only at the refined Void Martial stage. When he had come, he had been careful along the way to eliminate any dangers. Then, he had snuck into Qin Wushuang's tent. However, when he had received instructions from Qin Wushuang to leave, he had deliberately revealed some small flaws. Captain Chun immediately grasped the flaw in the plan. The other elite warriors of the Transformation Void Martial stage had also sensed it and chased after him. Commander, a moment ago, there was a weak movement of Earth Elemental Qi. Someone had used the underground technique. That's right, this person's underground technique is extremely advanced and almost impossible to grasp. Commander Chun smiled lightly. Did you all sense the direction? It's those two. Commander Chun laughed. It's those two, right? Report. Immediately, someone came in to report, Commander, those two Wu brothers were sneaking around. When it was their turn to patrol, they secretly left. Commander Chun revealed a joyful expression. Did they leave? Yes. The expression on General Manager He's face also changed drastically as he took the initiative to ask, Commander, should I go and bring them back? No need. Commander Chun said with a smile. Bringing them back would only alert the enemy. Let them go. This is letting them off too easily. General Manager, he appeared to be extremely regretful. As long as they are in the castle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, we will not worry about letting them off too easily. Sooner or later, these two lives will be in our hands. Let their heads stay on their necks for a few more days. Commander Chun appeared to be extremely happy as he instructed. Everyone, once this news is spread, we must start to make some preparations. Last time, General Manager Su had caught them off guard and caused the entire army to be annihilated. This time, we will set up a giant trap and wait for them to walk into it. This is called, it's impolite not to reciprocate. Haha, Commander is wise. That General Manager, he continued to flatter him. Don't be too happy too early. Currently, this plan has only succeeded halfway. The 100-Leaf Qin clan also has intelligent people. Before this plan succeeds, we cannot be too optimistic. Yes, as long as they dare to attack, we will have a way. General Manager, he laughed mischievously. Whether this plan succeeds or not, it will depend on whether they come out or not. Commander Chun smiled lightly. If they come out and Chun Tong returns, he will make it in time for the final battle. Even if they don't fall into the trap, when Chun Tong returns, he will also have a way to break the 100-Leaf Qin clan. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 445. Outside the castle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, Patriarch Qin Bolong had led the 6 elders to welcome Qin Wushuang. They had given Qin Wushuang the highest treatment. Of course, Qin Guan and his sister, who had received Qin Wushuang's help along the way, had also come to welcome them. Boss! Bao Bao scuttled over affectionately and winked at Lone. Apparently, he was extremely excited. Young Master Qin is chivalrous and brave. I, Qin Bolong, would like to thank you on behalf of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Qin Bolong cupped his hands in a salute and held Qin Wushuang's shoulder. Boss, this is the patriarch of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Bao Bao immediately introduced. Great patriarch, we are family. Please don't say such courteous words. Qin Wushuang said with a smile. As the saying goes, you cannot write two Qin characters with one stroke. The Qin clan of the Tianxian land has the same origin. We are connected by blood and flesh. What I did was only part of my duty. Unfortunately, I did not contribute much due to my low strength. Young Master Qin is a promising young man. During the battle at the Duckbeak Mountain, if it weren't for you, how could we have achieved such a perfect outcome? Please come in. Among the young generation of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, not many were as promising as Qin Wushuang. Especially for someone like Qin Wushuang, who had both courage and strategy, there was not a single one. Thus, naturally, Qin Belong's appreciation of Qin Wushuang had come even more urgently. When he walked into the castle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, Qin Wushuang finally understood why the 100-Leaf Qin clan could make Commander Chen's group of tigers and wolves suffer such a setback. Indeed, the internal defense of this 100-Leaf Qin clan was extraordinary. Young Master Qin, I heard from Tai Hong that your ancestor was once an exceptional disciple of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. I wonder where young Master Qin's lineage has settled down? To the 100-Leaf Qin clan, Qin Wushuang's identity was still a mystery. Although Bao Bao had come here, he had not received permission from Qin Wushuang. Of course, he would not expose Qin Wushuang's identity. Since Qin Wushuang had come to the 100-Leaf Qin clan and recognized himself as one of them, of course he would not hide his identity. Surrounding him were the core higher-ups of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Besides the Qin brother and sister who had a lower status, they were all figures with reputations. They were not worried about his identity being exposed. To tell you the truth, Lord Patriarch, the three of us came from the human countries. The two of them are my companions. Although they are from the beast race, they are as close as brothers. Human countries? Qin Wushuang, Qin Bolong, Qin Wushuang, Qin Bolong, Qin Wushuang, Qin Wushuang. Apparently, Qin Wushuang Qins, Qin Wushuang, Qin Wushuangs. They had also deduced Qin Wushuang's identity and background. They had considered him from those exceptional Qin branches of the Xian Yuan Mound. Even if they had considered other Qin clans that did not have a great reputation, they had never considered the human countries. Even if they had cracked their brains, they had never thought in that direction. Qin Wushuang was not surprised by their reaction. In fact, if it were any other person in the Xian Yuan Mound, they would have a similar reaction if they had heard them claim to be from the human countries. Even someone as powerful as Yin Xuechen was somewhat surprised when he heard that he was from the human countries. Qin Bolong was indeed the patriarch of a clan. After a moment of astonishment, he immediately recovered and said with a smile, Young Master Qin's answer is indeed out of everyone's expectation. The human countries have always been of little value in the eyes of the forbidden spiritual zones. They are dispensable. This is also the truth. Qin Wushuang did not seem to care at all. So you are from the human countries. No wonder you appeared from that direction. That place is very close to the human countries. Qin Guan interjected at this moment. Qin Guan, when I met you for the first time, I did not know your background. Thus, I did not tell you my true identity. Please forgive me. Qin Guan said with a smile. Benefactor, you came from the human countries. It's natural for you to hide your identity. This is the most basic rule of the Jianghu. I didn't even have the time to thank you. How could I blame you? I still haven't asked your name? Behind the patriarch, Qin Zhonglong asked with a smile. I am Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang. When Qin Zhonglong heard this name, he frowned slightly. This name sounds familiar. I must have heard it somewhere. Second brother, you have heard of it? Qin Bolong did not try to cover up his mistake. When he was at the 100-Leaf State, He had always been running around for the fate of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. He had never heard of those news from the human countries. After all, in the eyes of all the martial artists in the Xian Yuan Mound, most likely the human countries were of little value. In the eyes of the martial artists, they were insignificant. Since they were insignificant, of course they would not pay attention to them. Thus, Qin Wushuang had a well-known reputation in the human countries. However, in the Xian Yuan Mound, in these vast forbidden places, Qin Wushuang's reputation was almost non-existent. After a moment of silence, Qin Zhonglong mumbled to himself, "Qin Wushuang, human countries." Suddenly, Qin Zhonglong slapped his thigh. Yes, I remember now. Everyone fixed their gaze on Qin Zhonglong. Qin Zhonglong said, "I remember now. A few days ago, when I went out, I was investigating the missions issued by those powerhouses at the Freelance Martial Artist Union. I had accidentally heard about mission. This mission is related to the name Qin Wushuang. Besides, Qin Wushuang in that mission also came from the human countries. Young Master Qin, in your human countries, is there a young talent with the same name as you?" Without waiting for Qin Wushuang to answer, Bao Bao laughed. "In the human countries, among the young people with the surname Qin, my boss is the most famous. If it were anyone else, they would not dare to name themselves with the name Qin Wushuang." Qin Zhonglong gave a long sigh. "Young Master Qin, have you offended anyone?" Qin Wushuang gave a free and easy smile. "In the human countries, I went through fire and water and fought countless battles. I did make a lot of enemies by invading my family and my sect." Qin Zhonglong shook his head. "With your strength, for sure you would not have any opponents in the human countries. Besides, regardless of how strong the enemies in the human countries are, they would not issue the mission to the Freelance Martial Artist Union of the Xian Yuan Mound. Regarding the Xian Yuan Mound, there's only one enemy." Qin Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly. "That would be the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect." Heavenly Luo Taoist sect? When Qin Bolong heard this name, he could not help but draw a breath of cold air. In the Xian Yuan Mound, it was impossible for him not to have heard the name of the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect. Heavenly Luo Taoist sect. Qin Zhonglong also spoke with a solemn tone. Apparently, he was also restraining his fear of this name. On the other hand, Qin Wushuang said with a calm smile, "Everyone, no need to worry about me. Earlier, the grudge between us and the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect had been resolved. Now, even if the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect were to seek revenge, it would be me alone. Since I had to avoid the eyes of the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect along the way, I had concealed my identity. I didn't expect that the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect would not give up." Qin Bolong asked Qin Zhonglong seriously, "Second brother, what kind of mission did you receive?" "It was a bounty to kill a young man named Qin Wushuang. They had specifically stated that this young man had come from the human countries and had 2 spiritual beasts following him all year round. He had exceptional combat power. The price of this bounty was also not low. It was 50,000 gold crystal stones." 50,000 gold crystal stones. Lone cried out. "The 3 of us are only worth this little money? Darn it, who issued this stupid mission? Isn't this looking down on us?" Qin Wushuang also waved his hand. "Great Patriarch and elders, I'm sorry. Today, let's not talk about the matter between me and the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect. As long as everyone can keep my identity a secret, I will be deeply indebted to you. Even if the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect were chase after me all over the world, they would be helpless if they could not find my shadow." "Boss, if they could not find you, would they harass the Stargaze Palace or the Eastwood Qin clan?" Bao Bao was worried. "I have also prepared a hand for them. Don't worry, that Luo Tianxi's backer is only an elder with a low status in the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect. In the sect, he is not the most powerful person. Besides, before my departure, I had also made some arrangements. That would be for the best." Suddenly, Qin Bolong said, "You don't have to worry too much about harming the human countries. According to the agreement made by the forbidden spiritual zones 10,000 years ago, The powerhouses of the forbidden spiritual zones are not allowed to get involved in the disputes of the human countries. They're not allowed to deal with the powerhouses of the human countries for no reason to prevent a new round of conflict from erupting in the forbidden spiritual zones. Qin Wushuang had also heard similar words. Immediately, he said seriously, "Great Patriarch, my personal matter ends here. Our top priority is to discuss how to beat back the enemies who are eyeing us covetously." That Commander Chun claimed to have gone out to call for reinforcements. I speculate that he did not go. However, it should be true about calling for reinforcements. On this day, I did not see Chun Tong. I am afraid that Chun Tong had gone to call for reinforcements for Chun's son. The reinforcements that Commander Chun is calling for must not be ordinary. Thus, before the reinforcements arrive, we must injure the enemy severely. Or else, if the reinforcements were to gather with them, it would be a great blow to the 100 Leaf Qin clan. Yes, to make a move, we must do it within these 5 to 7 days. When the reinforcements arrive, the 100 Leaf Qin clan will become even more passive. Lone also had the same opinion. Qin Bolong did have the responsibility of a patriarch, as he said in a low voice, with the information brought back by young Master Wushuang. Since that Commander Chen is here, I am afraid that even if we mobilize all the powerhouses of the 100 Leaf Qin clan, we would not gain any advantage. For this battle, the strength of both parties is almost balanced. Now, they are competing in terms of strategy. That Commander Chun had deliberately released false information and set up a trap for the 100 Leaf Qin clan to fall into. To break it, we must start with this strategy and beat them at their own game. How to beat them at their own game? Young Master Wushuang, do you have any good ideas? After a moment of thinking, Qin Wushuang nodded and said, Commander Chun had deliberately created the illusion that he was not here. Then, we must follow this illusion to use our strategy. Let's do it in the dark. Today is still a social gathering. The old rules will be made up for tomorrow. In the next few days, Old Bull will reignite his firepower and prepare to explode. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chitian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 446. On the surface, they were building one path, but secretly plotting another. Qin Wushuang's plan was the key for the 100 Leaf Qin clan to get through this difficult time. Qin Bolong immediately asked, Young Master Wushuang, please explain in detail. Qin Wushuang said calmly, Patriarch, may I ask, who is the strongest warrior in the 100 Leaf Qin clan? It's my 9th great-uncle, Qin Sheng. Qin Bolong said honestly. On that day, it should be this senior Qin Sheng who fought with Commander Chun in the sky above the 100 Leaf Qin clan's castle, right? Qin Wushuang asked. Yes. 9th great-uncle is the only elite warrior at the profound void martial stage in the 100 Leaf Qin clan. Entai Hong is 9th great-uncle's contract spiritual beast, his old partner for a few hundred years. Qin Wushuang nodded slowly and said in a low voice, The key to this battle is to lure Commander Chen away. If we can lure Commander Chen away, with senior Qin Sheng's strength, he could use his profound void martial stage power to defeat the others. Regardless of the 4 general managers, or Commander Chen's 2 trusted aides at the transformation void martial stage, Chen Tong and Chinda, they will be powerless to fight against senior Qin Sheng. Now, the problem is whether we can find an elite warrior with enough strength to lure Commander Chen away and pretend to be senior Qin Sheng for a short period of time. Such a candidate made things difficult for Qin Bolong and the others. Both Qin Bolong and Qin Zhonglong knew clearly what it meant to have the strength of the profound void martial stage. They were elite warriors at the transformation void martial stage. However, before 9th great-uncle, they did not have any capital to resist. The difference of one stage was fatal and could not be filled. Young Master Wushuang, that Chun's son has the same strength as my 9th great-uncle. Even my 9th great-uncle could not defeat him with his divine skills. In the 100 Leaf Qin clan, We cannot find another person that could be on par with Chun Sr. Qin Bolong did not hide his strength. Qin Wushuang said with a light smile, "If there is no such figure, then we must plan something else for this battle. Do you have any other ideas?" Apparently, Qin Bolong held Qin Wushuang in high esteem. "Patriarch, can I pay a visit to Senior Qin Sheng?" Qin Wushuang suddenly raised this question. At this moment, Qin Wushuang already had a plan in mind. Since he had just entered the Xianyuan Mound, it would not be a good idea if he stayed here for too long. Thus, he also hoped to help the 100-Leaf Qin clan out of their predicament as soon as possible. From there, he would understand the exact situation of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. Qin Bolong said straightforwardly, "Okay, I will go ask for instructions for young Master Wushuang. My ninth great-uncle holds a supreme position at the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Even if me and second brother wanted to see him, we would need to ask for permission. Please forgive me, young Master Wushuang. Lord Patriarch, please go ahead." Qin Wushuang naturally wouldn't care about this. Ever since Qin Sheng fought with He Chan's son, he returned to the castle and went into seclusion again. He also knew that this time, the 100-Leaf Qin clan was facing a tough opponent. Therefore, he didn't want to give up any precious time to cultivate. If he raised it by 1 point, he would raise it by 1 point. In a fight between insightful emptiness realm experts, even the slightest advantage could sometimes be fatal. Ninth Granduncle, Bolong requests an audience. Qin Bolong's voice came from outside the door. Qin Sheng frowned slightly. Inwardly, he thought, could it be that group of mercenaries had launched another attack? "What is it?" Qin Sheng said with a light tone and did not show much emotion. "Ninth Granduncle, it's like this. There is a disciple of the Qin clan from the human countries." Qin Bolong said in a protective tone and explained the general situation of Qin Wushuang. After Qin Sheng had finished listening, he felt somewhat strange. A disciple of the Qin clan from the human countries? The Heavenly Emperor Qin clan also has a branch in the human countries? Ninth Granduncle, it's true. Through various information channels, we also found out that there is indeed a branch of the Qin clan in the human countries. For this Qin Wushuang, in the recent few years, he had also gained a great reputation and was a hot topic that no one dared to challenge. At such a young age, he already has strength close to the void martial stage. And this kid is not even 20 years old. Human countries, less than 20 years old, close to the void martial stage. When Qin Sheng heard up to this point, he could not help but have some strange thoughts. For your information, for such achievement, none of the disciples of the 100-Leaf Qin clan could compare to him. However, the 100-Leaf Qin clan had mingled in the Xianyuan Mound. Regarding the training environment, it was more than 10 times better than the human countries. With this comparison, it further highlighted the extraordinariness of this disciple called Qin Wushuang from the human countries. "You want to see me?" Qin Sheng felt somewhat suspicious. Usually, as an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage, ordinary young people would not even have the time to avoid him. It would be impossible for them to ask to see him. Most likely, they would not even have the courage to think about it. "Yes," Qin Bolong answered honestly. "For such a young man, I must meet him. If he is a good seedling, I will recommend him to the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. It will be a great contribution to the headquarters. Bolong, arrange it. I want to see him at the inner courtyard of the castle." "Yes." When Qin Bolong heard the permission from Ninth Granduncle, he left happily. Young Master Wushuang, in our inner courtyard, only the core disciples and above are qualified to live here. When you get out of this hall, walk towards the back. After you pass through the corridor, you will arrive at the backyard. Ninth Granduncle will meet you there. Qin Bolong said patiently. "Great Patriarch, indeed, this Qin courtyard is extraordinary. In the human countries, even the royal palace did not pay such attention." Qin Bolong chuckled. "This is nothing. In the future, when you go to the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan, you will truly experience the so-called majestic temperament. It will truly be the feeling of swallowing the heaven and earth." While they were talking, these two had already passed through the long corridor. "Young Master Wushuang, Ninth Granduncle wants to see you alone." I will escort you here. Turn right, and you will arrive at the backyard. Qin Bolong stopped and said. Qin Wushuang smiled lightly and walked forward. In a quiet backyard, large trees were planted with shade. Before Qin Wushuang had walked closer, he felt a wave of strange temperament. It was not tyrannical, nor was it tyrannical. Instead, it was a miraculous state of nature. It was as if the entire world had condensed into this small space and turned into nothingness. In between his thoughts, the entire world seemed to have condensed into this small space. And in this small space, an old man with gray hair and beard stood leisurely under the tree with his hands behind his back. He fixed his gaze forward. Qin Wushuang only felt that if he took one step forward or one step back, he would destroy this harmonious environment. At this moment, he could not help but stop his footsteps. Qin Wushuang? Finally, the old man spoke with a smile on his face. Senior Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang's eyes also lit up. Yes, indeed, heroes come from the youth. Under such environment, I am afraid even Bolong and the others would find it difficult to remain calm. Nice. At such a young age, you have the temperament of a grandmaster. Qin Sheng's compliment did not make Qin Wushuang feel proud. In fact, Qin Wushuang's temperament had benefited from the accumulation of his past and present lives. Especially in his former life, he was a supreme grandmaster and was highly respected by others. He had never lost his temperament in any situation. Currently, although he was meeting an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage, it did not make Qin Wushuang feel too much pressure. Regarding the profound void martial stage, Chen Sun was also at the profound void martial stage, and he was from the enemy camp. Before Chen Sun, Qin Wushuang remained calm and composed. Additionally, although an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage was strong, he was not the strongest person Qin Wushuang had ever met. Not to mention that unpredictable tricksterly Bai, for sure, Senior Yun Xuechen's strength was far above an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage. For this point, Qin Wushuang had deduced it from countless details. Before Yun Xuechen, although Qin Wushuang did not lose his respect, he did not feel the so-called fear or uneasiness. This was his innate temperament. I am Qin Wushuang. It is my honor to meet you, Senior Qin Sheng. Haha, good. With an indifferent expression, Qin Sheng pointed to the stone bench. Sit. After he had sat down, that Qin Sheng still had that indifferent expression. Young talent from the Qin clan of the human countries, I must say that you are a surprise. Senior Qin Sheng. Wushuang was in a hurry to see him, not because he wanted to hear Senior's praise. Since this is an emergency, please allow me to ask, do you have any methods to defeat the enemy? This question was somewhat sharp. Of course, who is Qin Sheng? Of course, he would not care about these things with a junior. He smiled lightly. I heard from Bolong that you have some ideas. I do not have 100% confidence in those strategies. However, Chun Sun is waiting for the 100-Leaf Qin clan to launch a surprise attack on them. This mentality of theirs could be exploited. Besides, there is not much time. When their reinforcements arrive, the situation would become even more unfavorable. Without 100% confidence, you came to see me. Could it be you want to persuade me to take a gamble? A trace of strange light flashed across Qin Sheng's eyes. No, I have a direct and effective method. Qin Wushuang had made up his mind. What method? Qin Sheng could not help but be moved. It's simple, kill Chun Sun directly. Qin Wushuang's tone was also extremely cold. Haha. Qin Sheng's tone was bitter as he slowly shook his head. In the entire 100-Leaf Qin clan, the person that could kill Chen Sun has not appeared. That Chen Sun's strength is on par with mine. Unless the headquarter of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain sends out an elite warrior at the elder level, it would be difficult to kill Chen Sun. Senior Qin Sheng, if I could make everything easy, would you dare to try? Oh, lights flashed across Qin Sheng's eyes as he looked at Qin Wushuang with astonishment. Senior, you two are on par with each other. Indeed, it would be difficult for you to kill him head-on. However, what if I lend you a divine weapon? Divine weapon? Qin Sheng laughed and shook his head with a long sigh. My 100-Leaf Qin clan has never seen any divine weapons in the Xianyuan Mound. How could there be so many divine weapons in this world? Qin Wushuang did not answer and took the graceful spiritual bow in his hand. As he urged his spiritual qi slightly, the graceful spiritual bow immediately shone with divine lights. This resplendent light almost made people unable to open their eyes. Even the knowledgeable Qin Sheng was dumbstruck as he stuttered. This object emits profound divine lights and has a flamboyant charm. It is a rare divine weapon. Indeed, it is a divine weapon. As he mumbled, the way he looked at Qin Wushuang had become different than before. Did your ancestor leave this behind? This way, your ancestor was not ordinary at the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.qijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 447. Of course, Qin Wushuang would not explain anything. The reason why he was willing to take out the graceful spiritual bow was after careful consideration. It was a form of recognition to the bloodline of the Qin family. This form of recognition did not come out of nowhere. Instead, he had slowly felt the same way through his experiences. Ever since he had entered the Xianyuan Mound, he had persevered in taking his sister to escape, and the disciples of the Qin family who would rather die than submit under General Manager Su's butcher knife. All these experiences had increased Qin Wushuang's impression of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. And after seeing Qin Bolong, the patriarch, Qin Wushuang had seen the unique temperament and boldness of the disciples of the Qin family. Most importantly, up to this moment, he could not think of a 100% safe method to defeat the enemy. To solve the crisis of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, the most direct method was to kill Chun's son, the leader of the enemy. He would cut the Gordian knot with a swift knife and do it cleanly. Qin Wushuang asked himself that it should not be a problem for him to use the graceful spiritual bow to kill an elite warrior at the refined Void Martial stage. However, it would not be feasible to cross 3 levels to kill someone at the profound Void Martial stage like Chun's senator. The success rate would not be 1%. However, if an elite warrior at the profound Void Martial stage were to use the graceful spiritual bow, the power would be incomparable. Senior Qin Sheng, there are only 3 arrows that match this bow. If I lend it to you, can you kill Qin's son within 3 arrows? Qin Sheng's eyes did not leave the graceful spiritual bow. He took a deep breath and said, "This bow is an extraordinary object. I can see through it with one look. However, even if you lend it to me, without 10 to 15 days of familiarization, it would be difficult to unleash its advantages. However, I am confident that I can kill an elite warrior at the same level as me within 3 arrows." Great! Qin Wushuang slapped his thigh. If Senior Qin Sheng has such confidence, then this battle will be a complete victory. He handed the graceful spiritual bow forward. Senior, in this battle, whether or not this bow can kill an elite warrior at the profound Void Martial stage would depend on you. Whether or not the 100-Leaf Qin clan can solve this crisis, it will all depend on you. Qin Sheng's indifferent expression finally showed great joy. He laughed loudly, "Good, good, good." After saying the word good 3 times in a row, Qin Sheng then praised from the bottom of his heart, "Young man, it's already very extraordinary to have your cultivation and fortune. It's rare to have such a temperament. You lent me such a divine weapon just like that. Just based on your trust in me, Qin Sen's life is mine. Young man, can you tell me why you trust me so much? Could it be that you're not afraid that I'll take your divine weapon for myself? Senior, although I'm young, I know what it means to be connected by blood. Although the disciples of the Qin clan had different personalities deep in their bones, there was always a form of loftiness that did not follow the crowd. From you, from Patriarch Qin Bolong, even from the young generation of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, you all have such similar temperament. This is not something that others can impersonate. Good. What a great bloodline. Qin Sheng laughed and stood up. Time is of the essence. Today is the day of the battle. All the backbones of the Qin clan were gathered together. With a solemn expression, Qin Sheng looked at all the backbones of the 100-Leaf Qin clan before him. All disciples of the 100-Leaf Qin clan is the Qin bloodline flowing in your body boiling? The 100-Leaf Qin clan is being forced to their door. Will the disciples of the Qin clan yield to them? A series of questions, from Patriarch Qin Bolong to the ordinary backbones, each of them were filled with righteous indignation as they gnashed their teeth. Apparently, the 100-Leaf Qin clan also deeply resented those evil powerhouses that had bullied their door. Now, although the bandits have retreated temporarily, the crisis of the 100-Leaf Qin clan has not been resolved. The enemy still surrounded the castle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. It's like a devil's claw that is pinching the throat of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Now, let's go and cut off this devil's claw. Qin Sheng's voice did not exaggerate nor incite the crowd. However, when these words came out from his mouth, it carried a form of magical power that made people believe that he had the ability to do it. Bolong, take a group of people and depart from here. Zhonglong, you also take a group of people. Tai Hong, you and your son will be a group of people and wait at this position. When they were assigned here, suddenly, Qin Sheng's tone paused. It was because he realized that they still lacked someone who could disrupt the enemy's formation. At this moment, the guard outside the castle came to report, Patriarch, outside the castle, Qin Zhao has returned, and he's brought a young master. Qin Zhao brought a young master? Qin Bolong could not help but feel somewhat surprised. Initially, Qin Zhao was captured by the enemy. I heard that he was saved by a young man from the Jiufang clan. Could it be that young man from the Jiufang clan came back with Qin Zhao? It's possible. Qin Zhonglong nodded. Let them come here directly. At this crucial moment, Qin Bolong did not want to waste any time. In a moment, Qin Zhao brought a person to the inner courtyard of the Qin clan. That young man had an extraordinary temperament. Indeed, he was that young man that Qin Wushuang had seen at the Black Raven Royal City. Qin Wushuang still remembered that he had given himself a name, Jiufang Yunfei. Initially, this Jiufang Yunfei's flying sword technique had made General Manager Su feel inferior. The scene was filled with envy and admiration. Patriarch, I am back. As soon as Qin Zhao returned, he knelt on the ground. I am useless and was captured by the enemy. If it wasn't for this young master Jiufang, I am afraid that I would have died. Qin Bolong said, stand up and speak. Now, Qin Zhao stood up and introduced. This young master Jiufang is the great benefactor who saved me at the execution ground. I am Jiufang Yunfei. Nice to meet you all. Jiufang Yunfei's bearing was truly admirable. It was clear that his eyesight was also very accurate. With a glance, he could tell that although Qin Bolong was the clan leader, the person with the most authority was still the old man, Qin Sheng. Thus, Jiufang Yunfei was the first one to be rude to Qin Sheng to show his respect to an elite warrior. When he turned to look at Qin Wushuang, his expression clearly froze. Qin Wushuang said with a smile, indeed, young Master Jiufang has a good memory. When we brushed past each other in the crowd, you remembered me. That's right, we did meet at the Black Raven Royal City. Jiufang Yunfei laughed. At that time, I felt that you were about to make a move and kept making eye contact with the people next to me. I wanted to wait for you guys to make a move first. We had the intention, but we did not have the speed like young Master Jiufang. Young Master Jiufang, could it be you are a disciple of the Jiufang clan, one of the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates? Qin Sheng sized Jiufang Yunfei for a moment and asked without batting an eyelid. That's right, Jiufang Yunfei answered honestly. Unfortunately, those are all in the past. Currently, my Jiufang clan is no longer one of the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates. The Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates are like the change of dynasties. The ups and downs are unpredictable. The fact that the Jiufang clan once resided at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain is a form of supreme glory. With this foundation, it's not impossible for us to return to the Heavenly Emperor Mountain in the future. Jiufeng Yunfei was rather modest as he said with a smile, "This is the goal that I trained hard for. One day, I will let the name of the Jiufeng clan become one of the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates again." Young man, you have ambition, great. Patriarch Qin, I see that a few hundred miles outside the Qin castle, vividly, there seems to be powerful enemies surrounding. I wonder if the 100-Leaf Qin clan has a way to break through the enemy? Jiufeng Yunfei asked curiously. We do have a way to break through the enemy, but we still lack a capable person. Young Master Jiufeng has exceptional skills and can fly on the sword. You are suitable for this task. Jiufeng Yunfei raised his sword-like eyebrow. Oh. Qin Sheng said with a smile. Breaking through the enemy is right before us. We only lack someone to disrupt the enemy's camp. Young Master Jiufeng is an exceptional disciple of the Jiufeng clan. You are extraordinary and can take on this task. I just wonder if you would be willing to do me the honor and help? The Heavenly Emperor Qin clan once helped the Jiufeng clan. It's natural for us to work for the Qin clan. Please let me know if you need me. Okay, young Master Jiufeng, you will be in charge of harassing the enemy's camp. Commander Chun's son of the enemy has come out. You must not fight him. This person is an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage and is not to be underestimated. Jiufeng Yunfei said in a low voice. Elite warrior at the profound void martial stage? Then we should not underestimate him. Boss, let's go join in the fun. Bao Bao said. Qin Wushuang said with a smile. For this battle, we will listen to Senior Qin Sheng's arrangements. Qin Sheng laughed. You three will go with Tai Hong and be in charge of surrounding and attacking. How about it? Okay. After he had finished arranging, Qin Sheng waved his arm and shouted, Everyone listen to my orders. We will depart immediately according to the plan. We will attack at dusk. Yes. For this battle, Qin Sheng did not arrange many people. There were only a few dozen people. Naturally, their absolute strength was much weaker than Chen Sen's side. However, the main point of this battle was to kill the leader. As long as they could kill Chun's son, the leader, it would be easy to kill these mercenaries. Thus, for this battle, the performance of the other people was secondary. The most crucial part was whether Qin Sheng could kill Chun's son or not. Currently, information kept coming back from Chun Sen's giant tent. Suddenly, a trace of a strange smile emerged from the corner of Chun Sen's mouth. Everyone, the 100-Leaf Qin clan, they seem to be unable to sit still and have made a move. It seems that the fish has taken the bait and they have lost their patience. Prepare yourselves. Follow my plan and prepare for battle. Chen Sun smiled casually. This time, he was confident that victory was within his grasp since he had lured the 100-Leaf Qin clan out. Immediately, the three general managers gathered their teams. Everyone, stay alert. The 100-Leaf Qin clan is about to make a move. A fierce battle is coming. Everyone, bring out your best. This is your chance to make a contribution. It's time for everyone to fight for the bounty. Their simple mobilization had caused the blood of these freelance martial artists to boil. They could not do anything to the Qin castle. However, since the 100-Leaf Qin clan had taken the initiative to attack, it would be the best. For this battle, regardless of anything, they must take out the 100-Leaf Qin clan. To be continued, if you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 448. Everyone listen up. Outside the camp, shouts from the 100-Leaf Qin clan resonated from all directions. Your leader, Chun's son, has gone out to seek help. Everything is within our expectations. Now, with the forefather of the Qin clan stepping out personally, besides Chun's son, no one else is qualified to fight against him. In today's battle, those who surrender will live. Those who resist will be killed without mercy. The cold voice resounded across all four corners of the hillside. At the same time as this voice, Jiufeng Yunfei descended from the sky while riding on his flying sword. He tapped the ground with his feet, and tens of thousands of sword lights shot down like rain. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! Instantly, a chaotic sound emerged from all around the camp. As soon as Jiufeng Yunfei made his move, the three groups of people from the 100-Leaf Qin clan all rushed in. Once again, a terrifying smile emerged from the corner of Chun Sen's mouth. This was a sinister smile. He mumbled to himself eerily, "Good timing." Suddenly, he lifted his body and soared to the sky like a long dragon, breaking through the sky. He straightened the long sword in his hand and laughed. "I, Chun Sun, am here. All the invading Qin clansmen. Don't leave a single one, kill." As Chun Sun spoke, he waved his long sword and rolled up a wave of sharp sword light. He guided the tip of the sword and slashed towards Jiufeng Yunfei. The speed of the sword light was extremely fast. As soon as it rolled over, Jiufeng Yunfei instantly felt a wave of devouring power. It was as if his entire body had been sucked in by some mysterious power. In between this move, the power of an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage allowed Jiufeng Yunfei to deeply experience the difference between them. He gritted his teeth and rode his flying sword to the sky at a high speed. Chun Sun laughed eerily. "You want to escape? I will use you as an offering to my sword." He lifted his body casually and rolled into the sky. Instantly, he had shortened the distance between him and Jiufeng Yunfei. This speed, this temperament, no wonder he was an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage. However, Chun Sun never expected that with this jump, he had become a live target after he had lifted his body into the air. Qin Sheng was hiding far behind the forest. When he saw this scene, he gently lifted his arm. The graceful spiritual bow in his hand emitted a beautiful aurora-like brilliance. At this moment, Chun Sun suddenly realized something and turned his head around. His gaze was like lightning as it shot toward the direction of the forest. He asked with a cold smile, "Qin clan's old ancestor, why are you hiding and not coming out?" Although Chun Sun could feel Qin Sheng's murderous aura enveloping him, he could not see the graceful spiritual bow in Qin Sheng's hand. However, the innate sensitivity of a void interpretation stage expert allowed him to faintly notice a trace of subtle change. Danger! Chun Sen's eyelids twitched as his heart skipped a beat. He had never experienced such a feeling before. At the Xianyuan Mound, he was not considered a top elite warrior. However, in the Orderly Mountain Prefecture, especially in these territories, he was considered an ambitious and ruthless person. Within his control, he had never encountered such a strange feeling like today. This natural instinct for danger made him feel a deep sense of uneasiness and impatience from his pores to his skin. Normally, after they had lured out the powerhouses of the Qin clan, under the situation where they had absolute strength, they already had a 70 to 80% chance of winning. However, where did this sense of danger come from? He did not have the time to think about it. His instinct did not allow him to be careless. He quickly dropped his body and transformed into a wave of red light to escape to the ground. He had abandoned Jiufeng Feiyun. However, when he had sensed the danger, Qin Sheng had already pulled the graceful spiritual bow. And when Chun Sun started to escape, the jade-green arrow had already left the bow. Whoosh! The beautiful sound was like the sound of nature. The beautiful arc was like a beautiful rainbow. This arrow was the one that would determine life and death, the winner and loser. Like the king of Hell's talisman, it did not carry a trace of emotion or pity as it shot directly at the ball of light that Chun Sun had transformed into. This arrow seemed to have been imbued with divine power. It was full of spirituality as it firmly entangled the ball of light. No matter how fast it fell, its capturing power was unmistakably accurate. It was so accurate that it was as if it was fated to meet. Boom! When this arrow hit the ball of light, it instantly shattered all the lights. The lights sparkled and transformed into specks of starlight that shot out in all directions. It was so dazzling that one could not open their eyes. However, this ball of light was Chun Sen's camouflage to escape. When this ball of light was broken, it was like a chick breaking open. Other than the eggshell, Chun's son was like a chick that had just hatched, completely unharmed. However, he shouted, "Old monster of the Qin clan, you actually have a divine weapon?" Qin Sheng laughed. "Chun's son, this day next year will be your death anniversary. Accept your fate." Whoosh whoosh. Two consecutive arrows were shot out almost at the same time, one above and one below, completely sealing off all of Chun Sen's escape routes. If the first arrow had only broken open the ball of light, then these two arrows, other than his own defensive power and escapability, had no other defensive capabilities. Chun Sen's body was originally spinning rapidly. After the protection of the ball of light was broken open, his escape technique was also in use. As long as he had a breath's time, it would be enough for him to escape 100 miles away. However, in a battle between experts, half a breath's time was already very precious, not to mention one breath's time. Chun Sen's pupils suddenly enlarged infinitely. His eyes were completely filled with a despairing green color. It was as if all of a sudden, the heaven and earth had dimmed down and was surrounded by this suffocating green color. In the next moment, Chun Sen's body seemed to have been fixed. As if it had an infinite magical power, it firmly fixed Chun Sen's body in place. Poochie poochie. Two consecutive sounds. The jade green arrow from the body to the soul completely destroyed Chun's son, who was still insufferably arrogant just a moment ago. This destructive momentum and speed simply made Qin Sheng, who was using the graceful spiritual bow, dumbstruck. Boom! The green light soared into the sky. Chun Sen's body, as if it was cut open inch by an invisible divine knife, turned into a bloody mess and scattered in the sky. The insufferably arrogant elite warrior of the profound void martial stage had fallen just like that. In midair, Jiufeng Yunfei, who saw this scene from afar, was also dumbstruck. He never thought that this Chun's son, being an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage, had died so quickly. It could be said that there were no signs, no power to resist, and he did not even have the time to react. After a moment of being stunned, Jiufeng Yunfei regained his senses and shouted, "Chun's son is dead! Chun's son is dead!" Hearing Jiufeng Yunfei's call, Qin Bolong and his brother, Tai Hong, Qin Wushuang, and the others were overjoyed at the unexpected good news. All of them strengthened their attacks from all sides. Qin Sheng put away the graceful spiritual bow and the 3 jade green arrows. He also shouted while floating in the air, "Everyone, don't hold back. Those who offend the 100-leaf Qin clan, we will kill without mercy. Today, kill to your heart's content. Kill to your heart's content. Kill to your heart's content. Kill." After Qin Sheng had finished instructing, he also gave a long whistle. Like a falcon pouncing on its prey, he dived down. As an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage, without an elite warrior at the same level, it was as easy as a wolf entering a flock of sheep when he charged into a group of enemies. In a few attacks, he had killed a few elite warriors at the refined void martial stage. And these few elite warriors at the refined void martial stage did not have the power to fight him. Each of them had been swept away in one move. In a battle at this level, without a leader, the party would fall into a passive state. A group of dragons without a leader could not hold on, not to mention this motley crew. Initially, they had been tied together by benefits. When they learned that Chun's son had been killed, their previous courage and confidence had instantly collapsed. Besides running for their lives, each of them did not have the heart to linger in battle. Including those 3 general managers, fear had surpassed all other emotions. Now, in order to save their lives, how could these people care about deployment or formation? Plus, with Qin Wushuang and the other 2 groups of people, they were utterly defeated. The most fatal part was that after Qin Sheng had killed Chun's son, his temperament had reached the peak. The long spear in his hand was like a poisonous dragon. With each spear attack, someone would lose their life before his astonishing attack. Now, with Chun's son dead, Chintong had gone to the dark green cloud Taoist sect to ask for reinforcements. Chunda was equivalent to the highest leader. However, at this moment, Chun was also dumbfounded. After all, Chun Sin's death was too sudden and unexpected. At the same time, it was a huge blow to their morale. With Chun Da's experience at this crucial moment, he could not control the others. The scene immediately became chaotic. Their defense was like tofu dregs that were constantly being broken apart and trampled on by others. Chinda, the four of us will form a group. Don't split up. General Manager Zhao was the first one to call out. General Manager He, who had always liked to flatter Commander Chun San, also shouted, "Yes, the four of us will work together to break through their encirclement. Whether we can escape with our lives, it will depend on whether we can work together. Okay, let's charge together." Chunda used all his strength to move closer to the three general managers. When these four elite warriors at the transformation void martial stage gathered together, inwardly, they had gained some confidence. Initially, they could have escaped through the air. However, at this moment, the old ancestor of the Qin clan was floating in the air like an angry King Kong. If they were to escape through the air, they would hit the tip of the spear. Thus, they decided to work together to break through the encirclement on the ground. Facing Qin Bolong and Qin Zhonglong would be more ideal than facing this mysterious old ancestor of the Qin clan. Only, without Chun Sin's protection, how could they afford to carry out such wishful thinking? Qin Sheng said with a smile, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 elite warriors at the transformation void martial stage. I only have 3 arrows here. Let's shoot at 3 people and see who is luckier to not die under my arrows. After he had finished speaking, he pulled the graceful spiritual bow again and shot out 3 arrows. There were no accidents and no luck. It was impossible for a miracle to happen. The graceful spiritual bow had revealed its power, and wherever the jade green arrows went, the 3 general managers seemed to have been locked in place. While they were dumbstruck, the arrows had already entered their bodies. The same explosion, the same green light had broken through their bodies, and the same amount of flesh and blood had scattered everywhere. Instantly, the 3 elite warriors of the transformation void martial stage had turned into ashes. Qin Sheng also felt a chill run down his spine as he thought inwardly, "Good heavens, I am afraid this object is truly a divine weapon." At such a young age, that Qin Wushuang already had such luck to not get devoured by this divine weapon. It seems that he is a person with profound luck. With endless sighs, Qin Sheng's expectation of Qin Wushuang had also increased imperceptibly. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.qijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 449. The sudden turn of events caused Chun Sin's side to completely collapse. With Chun Sin's death, the 3 general managers had also been killed instantly. The remaining Chinda's eyes had turned red as he desperately tried to charge outside. However, under this situation, the 100 Leaf Qin clan had formed an iron bucket formation around this area. Regardless of how he tried to charge left and right, all he encountered were elite warriors of the 100 Leaf Qin clan. Patriarch Qin Bolong, Qin Zhonglong, and Tai Hong. These 3 elite warriors of the transformation void martial stage were all figures that could threaten Chunda. The most fatal part was that Qin Sheng, the most threatening one, was still taking care of him from the side. Qin Sheng did not make many moves. However, he had locked onto the entire battle area with his spiritual perception. It would be fine if he did not make a move. Once he made a move, it meant that he would reap a life. Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao also slaughtered to their heart's content in a group of 3. To Qin Wushuang, he had no intention to be the main character in this battle. To Qin Wushuang, the greatest meaning of this battle was to make a fortune in silence. Currently, his spiritual qi was 80 or 90% mature on the path to the perfect stage. One could almost say that he was only one step away from the unreachable spiritual martial force in the past. Thus, in this battle, although Qin Wushuang did not have the graceful spiritual bow as his trump card, The Fury Dragon Soul was like a tiger that had grown wings in his hands. Plus, with Bao Bao and the Purple Flame Electric Beast supporting him from the sides, Qin Wushuang had gained endless benefits from the 3-in-1 attack. Chun Sun, who was at the profound Void Martial stage, was shot to death by Qin Sheng immediately. Instantly, 3 of the 4 elite warriors at the Transformation Void Martial stage had also been killed. The remaining Chunda was battered and exhausted like a trapped beast. The remaining freelance martial artists were either at the refined Void Martial Force or the Spiritual Martial Force. To Bao Bao and the Purple Flame Electric Beast, the refined Void Martial stage was no longer a threat. And in the eyes of Qin Wushuang and the others, the Spiritual Martial Force was an existence that could be ignored. In the blink of an eye, Qin Wushuang's Fury Dragon Soul had trapped 2 freelance martial artists at the perfect stage. He initiated the genuine qi from the power of Deep North and absorbed all the spiritual qi from these 2. Apart from the people involved, no one else would be able to tell what was going on. The people who were locked onto by Qin Wushuang's whip twitched and shriveled up. Even if someone were to witness this scene, they would only think that Qin Wushuang's Fury Flood Dragon Soul had some special and miraculous effect. They would never be able to think of any other reason. After all, the power of Deep North was too novel for the cultivators of this world. It was a cultivation technique that they had never heard of before. Since they hadn't seen it before, they naturally wouldn't think of it that way. Bao Bao and the Purple Flame Electric Beast were also having a great time killing. If one were to say that Bao Bao had held back and did not use all his power, then the Purple Flame Electric Beast had used this battle to vent all the anger inside his heart. In this battle, there were 7 or 8 elite warriors that had died at the hands of the Purple Flame Electric Beast. After Chunda had been killed, this massacre had become much easier. Without their leader, these wandering warriors were completely exposed as a motley crew. Fighting on their own would only make them die faster. Under the attack of the Qin disciples who were like tigers and wolves, not a single one of them had escaped. On the side of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, besides a few disciples at the Spiritual Martial Force that had died, all the elite warriors at the Void Martial stage were unharmed. Indeed, this battle was a complete victory. Even Qin Bolong had never imagined that this battle would be so successful. Even the most optimistic person would not have imagined that the result of this battle would end with the 100-Leaf Qin clan obtaining a complete victory. The most gratifying thing was that this complete victory was built on the foundation of low casualties. This was even rarer. Qin Sheng laughed. God bless the Qin clan. Did everyone see it? This is the fortune of the Qin clan. At the most crucial moment, our fortune is still very strong. Tai Hong also came up. In the history of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, this battle was the most satisfying and the most brilliant battle, right? After this battle, those people who had set their eyes on the 100-Leaf Qin clan should consider their own strength. Qin Zhonglong also felt that his anger had been vented. Qin Sheng turned to look at Qin Wushuang. For an elite warrior like him, even if he felt grateful, he would not show it on his face. He only gave a light sigh. This time, in the end, the 100-Leaf Qin clan was able to win because of young Master Wushuang's help. Yes, Qin Bolong also kept on praising Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang said with a smile, "Everyone, now is not the time to be happy. Although the main evil, Chun Sun, has been killed, don't forget that there are still some fish that escaped the net." Fish that escaped the net? Qin Bolong was somewhat confused. We have found the bodies of all the enemies, except for Chun Tong. That Chun Tong must have gone to get reinforcements on behalf of Chun Sun, as I had predicted. This Chun Tong would not be a big deal. If the reinforcements he had brought back were acquainted with Chun Sun, for sure, there would be more to this matter. Qin Wushuang poured a bucket of cold water on them to prevent the people of the 100-Leaf Qin clan from getting too excited. Qin Sheng said in a low voice, "That's right. If that Qin Tong had truly gone to the dark green cloud Taoist sect to ask for help, for sure, the people he had brought would not be ordinary. For your information, The dark green cloud Taoist sect is unquestionably the #1 major powerhouse in the orderly mountain prefecture. If they had brought elite warriors from the scattered cloud Taoist sect, this matter would be extremely troublesome. However, Tai Hong said, "Master, the dark green cloud Taoist sect is strong only within the orderly mountain prefecture. In the entire Xianyuan Mound, the dark green cloud Taoist sect is only a quasi-second-rate powerhouse. I'm afraid they're only a little bit stronger than the third-rate and close to the second-rate level, right? Could it be that they would risk offending the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan and become enemies with the 100-Leaf Qin clan? If it were 3,000 years ago, I am afraid even the lowest branch of the Qin clan would not dare to provoke the dark green cloud Taoist sect. However, currently, the situation at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain is complicated. The headquarters of the Qin clan is in dire straits, and the position of all the branches of the Qin clan has dropped significantly. It will be another matter to discuss the attitude of the dark green cloud Taoist sect. Qin Sheng had lived for a few hundred years and was used to seeing the ups and downs of the world. The fickleness of the world. When the Qin clan was at its peak, all the Qin clan under the world were high and mighty. Even the most tyrannical powerhouses would not dare to offend the branches of the Qin clan easily. However, now, the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan was in a bad situation. Naturally, the situation faced by all the branches of the Qin clan had also become subtle. Chen Sun is already dead. Even if people of the dark green cloud Taoist sect had some relationship with Chen Sun, they would not become enemies with the 100-Leaf Qin clan for a dead person. Although the 100-Leaf Qin clan is not as strong as the dark green cloud Taoist sect, if they were to become enemies with the 100-Leaf Qin clan, they would not have a peaceful life. Being the patriarch of a clan, Qin Bolong also had his own responsibility and boldness as he spoke boldly. Ninth great uncle, Chen Sun is on par with you. Even if he had some relationship with the people of the dark green cloud Taoist sect, it would only be between elite warriors at the profound void martial stage. Could it be that he could invite elite warriors at the perfect void martial stage? Perfect void martial stage? Qin Sheng laughed mischievously. In the entire dark green cloud Taoist sect, there would not be more than 3 people at the perfect void martial stage. If he is not at the perfect void martial stage, then we would have more confidence. Tai Hong shouted, "Let's not talk about this for now. Clean up the scene and destroy all traces of the battle. When Chen Tong had truly invited elite warriors, we would have enough time to deal with them." This was Qin Belong's idea. However, Qin Wushuang only smiled lightly. Apparently, he had a different opinion. What is young Master Wushuang's opinion? Qin Sheng glanced at Qin Wushuang's expression and knew that Qin Wushuang must have some other opinion. At the moment, he asked with a smile. Wushuang's knowledge is shallow. However, I feel that in the current situation, rather than waiting for them to arrive at the castle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, it would be better to intercept them halfway and make them retreat. If we could kill that Chen Tong and cut off this escape route, even people of the dark green cloud Taoist sect would not risk their lives for a dead person. Take the initiative to intercept. A trace of astonishment flashed across Qin Belong's eyes. He felt that Qin Wushuang's opinions were always so bold and full of passion. Take the initiative to intercept before the elite warriors of the dark green cloud Taoist sect have spoken. We should take care of everything. By that time, the other party would weigh the pros and cons and would not pursue the matter further. With Chen Sun dead, even if he was willing to risk his life, who would he do this favor to? He could not risk his life for a dead person, right? Even if he had such intentions, Chen Sin's death would not reveal his intentions. Thus, I feel that even if the elite warriors of the dark green cloud Taoist sect had been invited, they would certainly know how to weigh the pros and cons. I am only afraid that since the elite warriors of the dark green cloud Taoist sect were willing to come, for sure they had a life and death relationship with Qin Senator after learning that Chen's son had been killed, I am afraid that they would seek revenge for him out of righteousness. If he had a life and death relationship with Chen's son, it would not conflict with our plan to intercept him if he were to risk his life. regardless of whether he would make a move or not. It would not be wrong for us to take the initiative. There is another advantage to taking the initiative. We can avoid provoking the other party after a passive conflict. Once the other party had spoken ruthless words, the situation would not be easy to clean up. We would act first and report later. After the other party had learned about the matter, the general situation would have been set. Since Chun's son is dead, why would he take the risk of going against the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan and fight to the death with the 100-Leaf Qin clan for a so-called friendship? When Qin Sheng heard up to this point, he also deeply agreed as he nodded. Indeed, regardless of whether the other party has come to risk his life or not, we will take the initiative and avoid being led by the nose by the other party. Or else, when the other party comes to challenge us before the city gate of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, for sure they would use the big buttocks of the dark green cloud Taoist sect to suppress us. If that's the case, it would be a great blow to the morale of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. The one who strikes first gains the advantage. Regardless of fighting or not, we will take the initiative. When we take the initiative, we will have more freedom if we want to fight or make peace, advance, or retreat. Qin Wushuang added. Qin Sheng made the decision. Okay, let's do it this way. The Wild Goose Mountain Peak outside the 100-Leaf State Pass is the only way for the dark green cloud Taoist sect to enter the 100-Leaf State. Young Master Wushuang, are you interested in going with me? Qin Sheng asked with a smile. Qin Wushuang said gladly, since Senior Qin Sheng has invited me, how could I decline? I am afraid that I would drag you down with my weak strength. Haha, no need for a young man to be modest. You have such strength at such a young age. In less than 20 years, for sure, Qin Wushuang will have a place in the Xian Yuan Mount. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. More chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 450. After Qin's son was killed, everything went unusually smoothly. On the third day of the ambush at the Wild Goose Mountain Peak, Qin Tong had called for reinforcements and entered the border covered in dust. The reinforcements that Qin Tong had called for were Elder Dong Qian from the Dark Green Cloud Taoist sect. This Dong Qian was also an elite warrior at the profound Void Martial stage. Similar to Qin Sheng, Dong Qian also had a contracted battle beast at the transformation Void Martial stage. Initially, Chen Sun had planned to invite Dong Qian and his battle beast. With two elite warriors at the profound Void Martial stage, they would have a greater chance of winning when dealing with the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Most importantly, Dong Qian had mingled in the Dark Green Cloud Taoist sect. His personal strength was even slightly higher than Qin Sen's. And that contracted battle beast of Dong Qian's was a super elite warrior that could break through walls and besiege cities. Its skin was rough, and its flesh was exceptional. At this moment, Dong Qian was riding on the back of his battle beast and flying in the sky with Qin Tong. Although the speed was not fast, it was not slow either. Just when they were about to approach the Wild Goose Mountain Peak, suddenly, Dong Qian's spiritual perception moved. He waved his hand and said, "Hold on." Stunned, Qin Tong immediately realized something, and both of them pressed down on the cloud. Dropping next to the mountain path, Dong Qian glanced around with a cold expression and said with a cold voice, "Who are you? Robbing us here?" Qin Sheng did not find it strange. Previously, he had deliberately released a trace of energy to dash into the sky. In fact, he was testing whether this Dong Qian could sense it. Although Qin Sheng did not find it strange when he saw Dong Qian's quick reaction, he was somewhat surprised. From the other party's moves, it seemed that he was slightly superior to him in terms of stage. However, Qin Sheng was not afraid at this moment. Since he had the graceful spiritual bow, he was like a tiger that had grown wings. Not to mention an elite warrior at the profound Void Martial stage. He would not be afraid even if he was at the perfect Void Martial stage. With a divine weapon in hand, he could protect himself and even win against the enemy. Taking a step forward, Qin Sheng's figure appeared from the void. "Qin Tong, do you recognize me?" Qin Sheng did not target Dong Qian, but stared at Qin Tong coldly. Initially, Qin Sheng did not recognize Chen Tong. However, he found out from Qin Wushuang that the person who went to call for reinforcements was called Chen Tong. Thus, he deduced that this person should be Chen Tong. When Chen Tong suddenly saw an unfamiliar expert blocking his path and directly calling out his name, he couldn't help but feel a little surprised. He asked in surprise, "Who are you?" "Who am I?" Qin Sheng sneered. "Why are you running back and forth tirelessly? I am the clansman of the 100-Leaf Qin clan that you want to deal with for the 1,000,000 gold crystal stones." Not to mention Chen Tong. Even Dong Qian was greatly shocked as he looked at Qin Sheng in surprise. His eyes narrowed into slits. Under the sunlight, the atmosphere suddenly became tense. "Impossible!" Chen Tong shouted and denied flatly. "We have surrounded the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Who would believe that you are from the 100-Leaf Qin clan? Now, I am afraid not even a fly can fly out of the 100-Leaf Qin clan." When he said to Dong Qian, "Elder Dong, for sure this person is not from the 100-Leaf Qin clan. He does not have good intentions for robbing here." However, Dong Qian remained unmoved as he fixed his gaze on Qin Sheng coldly. Both he and Qin Sheng were elite warriors at the profound void martial stage. Vividly, they had sensed each other's powerful aura. This was not an explosive aura, but the restrained brilliance of an elite warrior at the profound void martial stage. It was a form of internal resonance. Qin Sheng did not evade his gaze as he fixed his gaze on Dong Qian. He said calmly, "Mister, I don't know where you came from and I don't plan to ask. I only want to say one thing. If you have come to help because of your friendship with Qin's son, then this matter can end here." "Oh," Dong Qian smiled lightly. "What do you mean?" Naturally, a figure from the dark green cloud Taoist sect was not a reckless person. Before he understood the situation, of course, Dong Qian would not make a move recklessly. "I only want to ask, do you have any grudges with the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan? Do you have any personal grudges with the 100-Leaf Qin clan?" Qin Sheng asked lightly. "The Qin clan has nothing to do with me. I have come here for friendship and to repay a debt." Dong Qian did not hide his intentions. "Okay, indeed you have come for friendship and a debt. Since that person is dead, this debt is also gone. To tell you the truth, Chen Sun has already been executed for invading the 100-Leaf Qin clan. This is the evidence." Qin Sheng waved his hand, and an object flew out directly to the other side. Dong Qian snatched it and caught it. He fixed his gaze and saw that it was Chun Sin's head that had not died in peace. With one look, even someone as powerful as Dong Qian could not help but break out in cold sweat. Chen Tong even cried out, and his entire body froze as if he had been petrified. How is it possible? Chen Tong was dumbstruck. "This is not real. This is not real. This must be a trick. It is not the head of my commander." Although Dong Qian did not lose his composure like Chen Tong, his expression was also complicated. The muscles on his face could not stop twitching as he looked at it repeatedly and mumbled, "This head is not fake." Currently, he was even more shocked by Chun Sin's death. He asked himself that although he was also at the profound void martial stage, perhaps he was slightly better than Chen Senator, however. It would be difficult for him to kill Chen Senator, however. Someone had cut off this Chen Sin's head and threw it before him. Then, without a doubt, the person who had killed Chen's son was much more powerful than him. In other words, the person who had killed Chen's son would have at least 80 to 90% confidence to kill Dong Qian. For martial artists at Dong Qian's level, their fear of death and their reluctance to live was not something ordinary people could imagine. It was the so-called saying that the older you get, the more you fear death. As Dong Qian thought quickly, he understood the intentions of the other party. The other party did not even want to know Dong Qian's identity. Apparently, they did not want to form a grudge with him. Most likely, it was not that the other party did not know his identity, but that they knew his identity like the back of their hand. Only, they did not want to form a grudge with the dark green cloud Taoist sect behind him. The other party's move was to protect themselves and also a form of not wanting to complicate matters. After all, Dong Qian was an elite warrior at the profound Void Martial stage and had come from the dark green Cloud Taoist sect. If he were to be persuaded by the other party with a few words, he would lose face. At the moment, he gave a cold sneer. "Mister, are you threatening me?" Qin Sheng shook his head leisurely. "It's not a threat. The Hundred Leaf Qin clan has always emphasized the principle of not offending others if they do not offend us. The reason why I speak these words from the bottom of my heart is because I do not want to form more enemies for no reason. In the end, your Qin clan is still scared," Dong Qian said with a cold sneer. Qin Sheng's expression changed as he said coldly, "Mister, if you treat my words as a form of fearful begging, then you are gravely mistaken. Believe it or not, at this wild goose peak, I will have the capital to kill you at this moment." Qin Sheng was not an idiot. Although he spoke these words, he did not take out the graceful spiritual bow. Once he took out the graceful spiritual bow, it meant that he had turned hostile and the other party must die. Instantly, Dong Qian's expression changed as he fixed his gaze at Qin Sheng for a long time. From his instinct as an elite warrior, Dong Qian did feel a wave of indescribable pressure and a sense of crisis. Although he could not understand where this powerful murderous intent had come from, without a doubt, the other party did not speak empty words. This way, for sure, the Hundred Leaf Qin clan already knew Dong Qian's identity. At least, they knew his background. They were not afraid of him, but rather, they were restraining their fear of the dark green Cloud Taoist sect behind him. Dong Qian lowered his head and started to discuss with his contracted combat beast using simple beast language. That contracted combat beast also possessed strong combat instincts. He also sensed a wave of cold, murderous intent that could not be hidden. It was enough to threaten their lives. "Master, since that Chun's son is already dead, it doesn't matter if you return the favor you owe him or not. The murderous intent from this person has been concealed. Certainly, it is not fake. In my opinion, there is no need to risk your life for a dead person." The Hundred Leaf Qin clan never held a grudge with the dark green Cloud Taoist sect. Even if the Dao warrior had come, he would not offend the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan for such a small matter. Initially, Dong Qian was already hesitant. After hearing the advice from the contracted combat beast, he became even more shaken. When Chun Tong saw Dong Qian remaining silent, he said with a begging tone, "Elder Dong, you must seek justice for our commander." With an ashen face, Dong Qian shouted in a low voice, "I have my own ideas. Why are you rushing me?" Chun Tong, Chun's son, coveted the 1,000,000 gold bounty and was willing to be a lackey. Even death could not wipe out his crimes. "Since you are helping the tyrant, you must also receive your punishment today." Instantly, Dong Qian was not happy when he heard these words. He said coldly, "Mister, even if I can let go of Chun Sen's matter, your words have gone too far." Qin Sheng said leisurely, "Mister, in fact, I am thinking for you. Although I don't know your identity and background, judging from your extraordinary temperament, you must have a powerful background. This Qin Tong is Chun Sen's trusted aide. If we keep him alive, in the future, he will talk too much and it will not be good for your reputation. Today, we will have a friendly conversation and reach a compromise. If this Chun Tong is dissatisfied and leaves alive, he will speak ill of you everywhere. Before outsiders who do not know the truth, they will only think that you chose to take a step back because you are scared of the Qin clan. Thus, this Qin Tong must be killed. This is for the sake of your reputation." Qin Sheng's words caused Dong Qian, who was already wavering, to have a change of heart. That's right. For today's matter, if he retreated and ignored it, this Qin Tong would hold a grudge, and most likely, he would make up stories. Being an elder of the dark green Cloud Taoist sect, if Chun Tong ruined his reputation, how could he stay in the orderly mountain prefecture in the future? When he thought here, his heart wavered even more. Qin Sheng's following words had moved his heart even more. "Mister, if you turn around and leave now, I promise that today's matter will not be spread out as if nothing had happened. The Hundred Leaf Qin clan will also owe you a favor. As for Chun Tong, we will take care of him. We cannot let this guy go out and ruin your reputation." When Qin Sheng said here, he suddenly initiated his temperament. Although he had not pulled out the graceful spiritual bow, he had activated it vividly. As soon as the power of this divine weapon combined with his own temperament, instantly, it created a powerful murderous intent that spread out. Instantly, this murderous intent had caused Dong Qian to feel distraught. Each inch of his skin had felt this rich, murderous intent. To fight or to make peace, you decide. Qin Sheng spurted out a mouthful of genuine qi, enlightening even the apathetic. It had instantly shattered Dong Qian's remaining hesitation. Okay, for today's matter, I will take a step back. Your 100-leaf Qin clan should also take care of yourself. I am not afraid of the Qin clan. Only, just like you guys, I am unwilling to make unnecessary enemies. Of course, he must speak some polite words. Qin Sheng laughed. Same to you, long live understanding. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 451. For someone as experienced as Dong Qian, how could he not know how to make a choice after understanding the severity of the situation? He did not even look at Qin Tong and turned to leave. He urged his mount and turned into a wave of meteoric light and disappeared into the sky. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. Qin Tong's expression changed drastically as he also realized the crisis. He urged the sword light and leaped into the sky. Naturally, Qin Sheng did not need to use the graceful spiritual bow to deal with such a weak opponent. He also flew into the sky, and with a flash of cold light from his hand, a sickle-like curved blade slashed through the sky. Like a ferocious monster that could tear the sky apart, it swallowed and spat. Chi-chi, with the crisp sound of reaping, that Qin Tong did not even have the time to react as his entire body was slashed into two halves by this blade light. The blood light soared to the sky and blood mist filled the sky. It made Qin Wushuang, Bao Bao, and the others dumbstruck. This was power, absolute power. Even if he did not use the graceful spiritual bow, before an elite warrior at the profound Void Martial stage, an elite warrior at the transformation Void Martial stage appeared too insignificant. Especially when Qin Sheng had killed Qin Tong instantly, it made Qin Wushuang and the others fully realize that in the Xian Yuan Mound, the difference of one level meant thousands of ravines. It meant life and death. After Qin Sheng had killed Qin Tong, he did not show the slightest pride. As if he had slaughtered a chicken, he dropped down without a care. With a face full of smiles, Qin Sheng handed the graceful spiritual bow to Qin Wushuang. Young Master Wushuang, for such divine object, I will return it to you in perfect condition. Today, although I did not use this divine bow, I activated it secretly and used its divine power to strengthen my presence. With a few words, I had scared away that guy from the Dark Green Cloud Taoist sect. This graceful spiritual bow was Qin Wushuang's trump card. Of course, he would not hold back and took it back. He said with a smile, Senior Qin Sheng, today the crisis of the 100-leaf Qin clan should have been resolved. Only, for sure, that person who put out the bounty will not give up. In the future, the 100-leaf Qin clan should be more vigilant. Qin Sheng nodded, of course. However, it would not be easy to deal with the 100-leaf Qin clan. If they truly wanted to seize the foundation of the 100-leaf Qin clan, in the end, even if the 100-leaf Qin clan could not resist, the other party would end up with nothing. Since the 100-leaf Qin clan was able to establish a foundation and develop the mines, we are also prepared to destroy everything. Qin Wushuang's heart skipped a beat. He looked at Qin Sheng in surprise. Indeed, this 100-leaf Qin clan was righteous and fierce. Hearing their tone, clearly they were prepared to cut off all means of retreat. In the worst case, they would destroy everything. Even if the 100-leaf Qin clan were to be destroyed, they would not allow outsiders to reap any benefits. Qin Sheng chuckled. Today, let's not say these dampening words. Young Master Wushuang has done a great favor for the 100-leaf Qin clan, and I have not been able to treat you well. Please come with me to the 100-Leaf Qin clan. All the danger had been completely resolved. The entire 100-Leaf Qin clan was overjoyed. This time, the haze shrouded the top of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Many disciples of the Qin clan were already prepared to die indiscriminately. Unexpectedly, this crisis had been resolved so easily. Thus, to Qin Wushuang, their great benefactor, of course they were extremely friendly and courteous. Not to mention, Qin Wushuang was also a member of the Qin bloodline. Although they were from different branches, in the end, everyone had inherited the bloodline of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. After staying at the Qin castle for 2 days, under the guidance of Patriarch Qin Bolong, Qin Wushuang also took a tour of the crystal stone mines of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Behind the Qin castle, there were a few deep mountains that were rich in crystal stone mines. Although the mountains were not full of mineral resources, the probability and production of crystal stones were unquestionably the highest in the orderly mountain prefecture. If the 100-Leaf Qin clan did not have the protection of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan, indeed, this giant crystal stone mine would have attracted a lot of jealousy. Young Master Wushuang, at least 30% of the daily expenses of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan and the upper crystal stones needed for training are provided by the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Crystal stones can also be used for training? Qin Wushuang was extremely curious. Qin Bolong explained patiently. Most of the crystal stones cannot be used for individual training. However, besides being used as a currency, many crystal stones with good quality are the best raw material for formations, weapon crafting, and talismans. Look, we are walking inside this mine. There are at least 3 layers of defensive formations outside this mine. Once an enemy breaks through the 100-Leaf Qin clan's castle, we will activate this defensive formation. If even this formation can't stop the enemy, we'll activate the last destructive formation and blast all the mines to the ground in an instant, destroying all of our foundations. These formations were set up by the elite warriors of the Heavenly Emperor headquarters. Qin Wushuang listened attentively, and inwardly, he was astonished. No wonder they were the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. They were decisive and decisive. If they could not protect themselves, they would never leave it to the enemy. Bao Bao also praised. This way, even if Chun's son and his group break through the 100-Leaf Qin clan's castle, they could not do anything to you guys. All disciples of the 100-Leaf Qin clan can hide inside the mine. Let the defensive formation take care of them. Qin Bolong gave a long sigh. The castle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan is the foundation of the Qin clan. It is also the first line of defense. Unless it is the last resort, who would be willing to sacrifice that castle? If the castle is truly breached, most disciples of the 100-Leaf Qin clan will die for the clan. Qin Wushuang nodded. Most likely, only a few higher-ups of the 100-Leaf Qin clan know about the secrets of this mine. Qin Bolong was surprised. Apparently, he did not expect Qin Wushuang to have guessed this. Indeed, young Master Wushuang is smart. That is true. Only the 6 elders know about the secrets of this mine. Normal disciples of the 100-Leaf Qin clan would not know. Haha, then why did you tell my boss? Are you not afraid of us gossiping? Bao Bao joked. Haha, everyone in the 100-Leaf Qin clan knows about young Master Wushuang's character. Qin Wushuang said with a smile. Don't worry, Patriarch, I am not a talkative person. This mine is so important to the headquarters of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan, it's natural for it to be kept a secret. If outsiders knew too much, they would think of ways to deal with these formations. Only when outsiders do not know about these formations, even if an enemy were to invade, this formation would work as a defense. Secondly, it would buy us some time to wait for the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan to send elite warriors to help. Inwardly, Qin Bolong was overjoyed when he saw that Qin Wushuang had deduced many things from one case. He had a premonition that although this Qin Wushuang had come from the human countries, in time, this Qin Wushuang would become a powerful existence that could share the burden of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. He would not be inferior to the young disciples of the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. It took another 3 days to tour the mine. Qin Wushuang stayed for 5 or 6 days. Since he was worried, he asked to leave. Of course, the 100-Leaf Qin clan did not ask him to stay. Before his departure, he could not do without some treats and banquets. Thus, it took another 2 or 3 days. Finally, it allowed Qin Wushuang to leave. Young Master Wushuang, we are all disciples of the Qin clan. We cannot thank you enough. The entire 100-Leaf Qin clan will never forget young Master Wushuang's kindness. Qin Bolong said with a sincere tone. He waved his hand, and the subordinate behind him carried out a tray covered with red silk. Qin Bolong untied the red silk, and inside it was a plate of resplendent crystal stones. The colorful stones were too much for the eyes to take in. Young Master Qin, these crystal stones are a gift from the 100-Leaf Qin clan. Please don't refuse. Qin Bolong looked at Qin Wushuang with a sincere gaze. Before Qin Wushuang could speak, the purple flame electric beast laughed. Great boss, earlier we were troubled by money. Now, we don't need to find pawn shops to exchange our belongings for money. Ha ha ha. Hearing the words of the purple flame electric beast, Qin Bolong also laughed. Young Master Wushuang has just arrived from the human countries and does not know the rules of the Xianyuan Mound. The Xianyuan Mound does not use gold or silver. They only recognize crystal stones. Isn't that right? Our boss even went to pawn his valuable belongings. Bao Bao also laughed mischievously when he remembered that embarrassing experience. Qin Bolong said seriously, Young Master Wushuang, these 100 green crystal stones are worth 10,000 gold crystal stones. With these crystal stones, it would not be a problem to guarantee 10 years of living expenses for the 3 of you. There are also 3 purple crystals. Their value is equivalent to 300 green crystals. Initially, in the Xianyuan Mound and the Forbidden Spiritual Zones, there were 4 levels of common currency. Silver crystal stones, yellow crystal stones, green crystal stones, and finally, purple crystal stones. 1 purple crystal stone was equivalent to 100 green crystal stones. 1 green crystal stone was equivalent to 100 yellow crystal stones. And 1 yellow crystal stone was equivalent to 100 silver crystal stones. In total, 1 purple crystal stone was equivalent to 1 million silver crystal stones. For your information, it would only cost a few dozen silver crystal stones to stay at an inn and eat a meal. 3 purple crystal stones were equivalent to 3 million silver crystal stones. To Qin Wushuang, who had always been embarrassingly short on money, it was truly a rich amount. There were at least 300 resplendent crystal stones on this tray. Besides these 4 specific types of crystal stones, the rest were all training crystal stones. Young Master Wushuang, these crystal stones each have their own unique uses. If this blue crystal stone is used in the water-type formation, it would be enough to perfect the formation and unleash more power. And this earthy brown crystal stone is used in the earth-type formation. The construction of the 100-Leaf Qin clan's castle relied on this ground quartz crystal stone. Not only can it make the building more stable, it can also be used to set up the formation and increase the sensitivity of the formation. And this blood-red crystal stone, this is the cinnabar crystal stone and is the best material for writing talismans. Ordinary talisman masters would be extremely thirsty for this crystal stone. For example, this dark crystal stone does not appear much different than ordinary stones. In fact, it is the best material for forging weapons. Even if it is a scrap metal ordinary weapon, if a little bit of this crystal stone could be merged into it, it would turn the rotten into something magical. If one were to forge weapons at the Void Martial stage, this black crystal stone would be indispensable. Qin Bolong explained the general use of these crystal stones patiently. Qin Wushuang kept nodding as he paid close attention. With these crystal stones having so many magical uses, Qin Wushuang would be disrespectful to refuse. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.qidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 452. You must say that this crystal stone was what Qin Wushuang needed the most. If that's the case, I will not hold back. Qin Wushuang took it and said with a smile, "Ha ha, young Master Wushuang. Even the dark green Cloud Daoist sect would not be able to give you such a gift. The 100-Leaf Qin clan does not have much valuable stuff. However, they do have some crystal stones. This is called living off the mountain." Qin Wushuang said with a smile, "With crystal stones, we will have everything else." Qin Bolong laughed and nodded. "That's right. With crystal stones, it would be others begging us." In the Orderly Mountain Prefecture, the 100-Leaf Qin clan is not the strongest powerhouse. However, because they are rich in crystal stones, they hold a high position. Qin Wushuang cupped his hands in a salute. "Great Patriarch, thank you for your generous gift. I will take my leave now." Qin Bolong was somewhat reluctant as he patted Qin Wushuang's shoulder. "Young Master Wushuang, in the future, if you have time, please remember to visit the 100-Leaf Qin clan." "Of course." "Patriarch Qin, take care." 100-Leaf Qin clan, take care. Take care." Qin Bolong nodded heavily. "All disciples of the Qin clan, take care." After bidding farewell to the 100-Leaf Qin clan, Qin Wushuang, Bao Bao, and the Purple Flame Electric Beast embarked on a new journey. Indeed, this battle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan had been a spectacular one at the Orderly Mountain Prefecture. Although no one knew the exact battle situation besides General Manager Su, the only fish that had escaped the net, the outside world seemed to have taken it seriously. Different versions of the rumors had raised a clamor. Of course, Qin Wushuang and his two brothers had registered at the Black Raven Royal City. Besides General Manager Su, no one knew that these three had participated in that battle. Thus, while they were walking, although everyone was discussing this battle of the 100-Leaf Qin clan, no one knew that the three people involved in that battle were right next to them. On this day, these three had finally arrived at the capital city of the Orderly Mountain Prefecture. In total, there were 72 prefectures in the Xianyuan Mount. Each prefecture was like a country in the human countries. The highest governing area of each prefecture was known as the capital city. The three of them still used the name of the Wu brothers to pass through the city gate inspection. The capital city was the core of a prefecture, and as expected, it was unprecedentedly prosperous. It was also the most prosperous city that Qin Wushuang and his friends had passed through after entering the Xianyuan Mount. Those prefectural cities and royal cities had already given Qin Wushuang a lot of shock. However, when the real capital of a prefecture was placed in front of Qin Wushuang, he finally understood what true prosperity was and what a forbidden land of God was. In the capital city, even the process of entering the city gate was much more complicated. Outside the city gate, there were also countless patrols. It seemed to be heavily guarded. After walking through the city gate, there were rows of bulletin boards under the city tower. Some of these bulletin boards were for officials, some were for organizations, and some were for individuals. Therefore, the notice board was always crowded with people at all times. Qin Wushuang and the others saw groups of people crowded under the city wall. From the appearance of those people, most likely they were freelance martial artists from different places. "Son of a bitch, do you have eyes? You stepped on my shoes." "Grandson, who are you scolding?" From time to time, similar scolding voices emerged from the crowd. Don't look at how these people spoke of their bravery. However, only a few of them had gone all out for such trivial matters. Lone shook his head and said with a bitter smile, "Are these people crazy? What are they looking at by squeezing here and there?" Bao laughed. "You are an outsider, right? Usually, the wall after entering the city is the best place to post the bulletin boards and distribute missions. Inside the city gate, it's the golden area. Posting a bulletin board is money. This is called making money in the right way, well, you know." Lone twitched his mouth and showed a disapproving expression. "Boss, do you want to go watch the show?" Bao suggested. Qin Wushuang said with a smile, "When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Let's go watch." When these three arrived before the bulletin board, they did not fight for a spot. After looking for a while, Bao cried out, "This is the official bulletin board. There is nothing to see." There are a lot of people over there. It must be the place where various allied organizations release missions. It attracts martial artists from different places. When Qin Wushuang and the others arrived at the board mentioned by Bao Bao, indeed, there were a lot of people. It was more than 5 times more than the other places. It was a dark and crowded place. Ridiculous. No one could swallow 1 million gold crystal stones. It seems that the 100-Leaf Qin clan is indeed tough. Look, the reward has increased to 2 million. Even if it's 2 million, I am afraid no one will step into this muddy water. Even an elite warrior like Senior Chen San was killed by the 100-Leaf Qin clan silently. Could it be that one must be at the perfect void martial stage? Perfect void martial stage. That would not be something that 2 million gold crystal stones would be enough to invite. Without 5 million, don't even think about it. Besides, in our gigantic orderly mountain prefecture, there are only a few at the perfect void martial stage. There would not be more than 10. Among these people, which one of them lacks money? That's right. Regarding the perfect void martial stage, which one of them is not a big shot, who would lack money? I am afraid money alone would not be enough to stimulate the appetite of a perfect void martial stage. TSK, you guys, why are you pretending to know when you don't? Hey, Sixqua, you said we don't know. Could it be you do? Don't act pretentious here. Be careful of being struck by a bolt from the blue and getting struck to death. TSK, enough of that. You're only talking nonsense. Just you guys, not to mention 2 million gold crystal stones. Even if I gave you 10 million gold crystal stones, I am afraid you would not be able to get a single hair from the patriarch of the 100-Leaf Qin clan. If you were good, then go get a hair for us to see. Instantly, those few felt unhappy after being mocked by Sixqua's words. I don't have that skill, but I will still judge. If there's a show, I will watch. If not, I will cool off on the side. Let me give you a word of advice. Trouble comes from the mouth. After being lectured by old Sixqua like an old man, those people were a little unconvinced. However, under everyone's eyes, they could not turn hostile. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang smacked his tongue. Inwardly, he thought that the 100-Leaf Qin clan's crisis would continue. However, since the 100-Leaf Qin clan had so many trump cards, Qin Wushuang was not as worried as before. When he heard these people discussing the 100-Leaf Qin clan, he did not participate. Instead, he walked to the side with a smile. TSK, TSK, the world has changed. A rough voice next to him clicked his tongue and sighed. He could not help but cry out. Since when could a martial artist from the human countries get a second-level assassination order? From the looks of it, it seems there are signs of a second-level assassination order. This guy had a rough appearance and kept crying out. Apparently, he found it somewhat unbelievable. Ha! If I remember correctly, the prefecture where the heavenly Luo Daoist sect is located is the Divine Brilliance Prefecture, right? This Divine Brilliance Prefecture is more than 1 million miles away from our orderly mountain prefecture. To think that the bounty order could be issued here. This was truly a rare sight. Could it be that the heavenly Luo Daoist sect cannot deal with martial artists from the human countries? What do you know? It was issued to our orderly mountain prefecture because it is at the border of the Tianxian land and closest to the human countries. Do you think that the heavenly Luo Daoist sect could not even deal with human martial artists? Did your head get caught in the door? Your head is not caught in the door. Then tell me, why didn't the heavenly Luo Daoist sect make a move themselves? This is called killing with a borrowed knife. If the heavenly Luo Daoist sect had to make a move for such a small matter, how could they live up to their status in the Xianyuan Mound? For great status? Idiot. If the heavenly Luo Daoist sect does not have a great status, then who do you think has a great status? I say the heavenly Emperor 8 Gates is the true supreme status. The heavenly Luo Daoist sect is strong. Can they enter the heavenly Emperor 8 Gates? There are only 8 heavenly Emperor 8 Gates in the entire Xianyuan Mound. Even if the heavenly Luo Daoist sect could not enter these 8 positions, they could at least be ranked in the top 16. The two of them took a bite out of each other's mouthfuls, debating. However, inwardly, Qin Wushuang felt apprehensive when he heard them. Without a doubt, the topic these two were discussing was related to Qin Wushuang. At the Hundred Leaf Qin clan, Patriarch Qin Belong's little brother, Qin Zhonglong, had mentioned that the Freelance Martial Artists Alliance had posted a bounty to kill Qin Wushuang. Now, everything had been verified. Indeed, on that bulletin board, a bounty from the highest Freelance Martial Artists Alliance of the Orderly Mountain Prefecture was posted. This mission had specifically stated that it was a second-level bounty, and the party that had issued it was the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect. And the amount of the bounty had increased from the 50,000 gold crystal stones mentioned by Qin Zhonglong. It had jumped to 80,000 gold crystal stones. This bounty had already moved many elite freelance martial artists. For your information, 1 million gold crystal stones could incite elite warriors at the profound void martial stage to move out. Besides, there were many elite warriors at the transformation and refined void martial stage. This way, 80,000 gold crystal stones were enough to drive elite warriors at the transformation void martial stage to work for it. Darn it, the price has increased again, Bao Bao whispered inwardly. On the other hand, Qin Wushuang was expressionless. As long as the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect did not dare to cause trouble in the human countries, he would not be afraid even if they had posted 1 million gold crystal stones bounty. After all, his current identity was Wu Xinghe. Conceal one's strength, bide one's time, and accumulate enough strength. Now, he had suffered the wrath of the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect and was being chased by them. In one day, he would return all of this to them. This was Qin Wushuang's goal. Everyone, tell me, in the end, what kind of person is this Qin Wushuang? How many exceptional martial artists could a desolate place like the human countries have nurtured? How could he make the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect bleed so much to kill him? Don't forget, although he came from the human countries. However, this Qin Wushuang has the surname Qin. In the Tianxian land, people with this surname must pay extra attention. He is famous for being swift and fierce. Haha, that's right. Just take the 100 Leaf Qin clan, for example. When the 1 million gold crystal bounty was posted and Senior Chun's son stepped out, everyone thought they were finished. However, what was the outcome? All those elite warriors gathered by Senior Chun's son had been completely annihilated. The Qin clan has always been unpredictable. For thousands of years, the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan was also looked down upon. However, there's still one of the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates. One after another, these fellows were having a good time chatting. When talking about the Qin clan, the topic was always attractive. In a moment, many idle martial artists had gathered. Their saliva splattered everywhere as they chatted freely. To Qin Wushuang's surprise, these freelance martial artists did not gnash their teeth when talking about the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan. On the contrary, many martial artists had retained some respect when they talked about the Qin clan. It seems that the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan still has the foundation of the masses in the Xian Yuan Mount. Only, they had offended too many powerhouses, and it had caused them to have a difficult time surviving. While Qin Wushuang was thinking this way, suddenly, a wave of hurried shouts came from the street in front of him. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.